Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Fueled by Progress, hosted by me, Mark Joseph Szymanski. Back in MJS Studios, we have a familiar face. Our first recurring guest, actually, Benjamin Cartwright. What is up, brother? How you been?
What is up, man? I am glad to be here for this milestone, the first repeat guest. I actually did hit you up because I kind of felt like we didn't get to finish our conversation.
Conversation's never over. We got all sorts of shit to talk about.
It's never over because, like, I think it was like a month and a half ago I was here, and I'm like, lots happened since then.
Yeah.
And then, like, the conversation, I don't think we left it off on, like, a cliffhanger.
Right.
But at the same time, too, like, there was some unresolved topics that we didn't get to.
Definitely.
So I wanted to come back, helped you out, reach this milestone. So
I appreciate it.
It's always a good time.
It's a big milestone for the show. Absolutely.
Big milestone for me as well.
Appreciate it, brother. Happy to see you. I know we've got a lot of stuff to cover, and I don't know like the extent everything that we kind of went over. We'll we'll link up the last episode in the description there, so you guys can kind of see that. But we have a lot of things, like you said, that have happened since then.
Yes.
We can kind of just probably kick off with everything that's happened with your business so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Last time I was here, I was talking about my business, Stonebridge Security Consultants, which I am building up to not just be armed and unarmed security outfit, but also just anything security-wise that I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
So we want to be a one-stop, highly trained shop for security, all security needs. Whether it's, security guards at your gated community, your apartment complex, your property management company, and you need to lease out some security for the properties you manage. We also do things like if you're traveling overseas to a country that might have some dangerous areas, we can do full OPSEC reports on those countries and give you the safe locations, the unsafe locations, kind of give you a heads up about where you're going and like where you should be, kind of like where you're at. So we've been working on that. I got with my buddy Alex Wynn. He's my training coordinator. He set up the whole training schedule for the rest of the year. So right now we are working on not only individual advanced training, but we're also working on setting up like the basic training type of schedule. So if guys do come through with us, we can get them set up on that. It's a 90-day probation trial period. We provide the ammo. We provide the things. Only thing you got to provide is the commitment. Because when I was here last time, I said my company motto will and always will be commitment for commitment.
Right.
It's always like, we will commit to you if you commit to us.
Absolutely.
In the same energy. So like, I still hear a lot of people talking about, oh, the government's not giving me this. I'm not making $15 an hour. Brother, I'm paying my lowest paid guy $100 an hour.
Yeah.
Like 15, like, because like I get why people want to support $15 an hour. Like you want to help out like poor people and like people that are in the struggle. I get it.
Right.
I want those people taken care of too. But for you as an individual, that's settling.
Right.
You should never just settle for the bare minimum your government throws you. It's like, no, like you have a life, live full. Live, like, I saw this quote today, live full, die empty.
Yeah.
Like that's how it has to be. Like you can't take nothing with you to the afterlife.
Definitely. 100%, man.
There's no going forward in Valhalla. Once you're there, bro.
Dude, yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's kind of, I mean, like we said, a lot's happened, and we've had all this. I mean, I guess when were you here? Like this is a month and a half ago, right? So
I want to say like early to mid February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
right around there.
We've gone through a couple things here. I guess we got another like stimmy and stuff like that.
That's not stimulus.
Yeah.
I'm getting $1,400 of my own money back. Meanwhile, Raytheon is getting trillions of dollars of weapons contracts to go bomb Yemen. Like that's not stimulus, bro. Give me Raytheon stimulus.
Yeah. You're so. I love. Obviously, like I said before, I love your like hot takes on Facebook and everything. But I don't have this knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if I'm like most people, but like the news comes in and I kind of see it and I have a reaction to it, but then it's like I can't like process it well enough, like in order to kind of like.
Well, for me, like I was saying last time, like I don't look at the world through political lens. I don't give a shit. I'm an anarchist.
Yeah,
I'm not left, right, whatever. Like
Yeah.
I think human beings are human beings because you breathe air and exist.
Right.
And that's why you have human rights.
Right.
The only reason we have to repel against the government infringing upon our rights is because one, a government exists, and two, people in the population can run to that government and get you to bend the knee to them. Low status people can run to the government when they have no power, and it gives them power and authority over your life. You see that with these mask people. Like, I wear my mask. I have no problem doing that.
Right.
But I've seen people fist fight others over masks. And it's because low status people like that, they get power from government.
Right.
If you're wondering why you couldn't get married because you were gay, it's because low status conservatives can run to the government and say, oh, we shouldn't let these gays get married, rather than just letting people do what they want.
Right.
You know, that's why I'm against government. That's why I'm against a lot of that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And it's why I don't look at the world through political lens, because politics is bullshit. There's no such thing as political power unless you're actually in politics or you're one of these lobbyists giving people money to influence politics. Like, I don't know if you saw the spat that Elizabeth Warren had with Amazon, where Amazon clearly told her, hey, we can take advantage of these tax codes because we pay you to write them. Well, no shit. So that's the system you want to be a part of? Like, I don't have political power in any government system because I'm not a lobbyist nor a politician that's going to sell access.
Right.
So it's like, I don't look at the world through that lens because I can't.
Yeah.
You know, on my level, it's basically who's getting screwed and who's doing the screwing.
Right.
Like, that's real life. Like, it's competing for slices of the pie that we know we all can't get to. That's real life.
Yeah.
You know, and when you see a lot of these people making moves and moving up, it's because they threw somebody else under the bus.
Yeah.
They don't care about diversity. They don't care about this. At the end of the day, it's about you.
Yeah.
What can I do to feed me? What can I do to feed my family? All that fluffer shit about diversity or this or that or whatever other subject, all that is a political facade over the fact that this person wants to accelerate their own career. Right. That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. I just don't put a politics over it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I love how passionate you are about this. I wanted to ask this. I remember now in the first episode with you, but I didn't, and it was like really, it was kind of silly because like we were just off and we were talking about a lot of things. Can you take a step back and define like what an anarcho-capitalist? Yes. Can you define that in like I'm a fourth grader?
Well, see, here's the thing about anarchism.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own definition of anarchism.
Yeah.
So obviously, if I, say my definition here, somebody on the internet or comments like, that's not anarchism, like whatever. To me, it's I want the smallest community possible because that's what I can actually take care of. All these people are driving themselves insane with anxiety, worrying about political issues they can't affect. It's because we have a population that's disconnected from community and wants to focus on the federal government. I don't care about the federal government. My government that can affect me the most is the mayor. Because like during the lockdowns, it was the mayors and the cops going out there and arresting mothers and the kids with their park when they didn't have a mask on.
Right.
So I'm an anarchist because I care about community. I want to know my neighbor. I want to know my neighbor to the point where I might see his kids out and if they do something wrong, he knows about it because I saw him do it. Like our grandmothers talk about. Hey, you couldn't come home when you were my age. Well, my parents know because the neighbors are telling you.
Yeah.
I care about that because you can take care of stuff easier. And I'm not blaming people for being activists. You should be activists.
Right.
You should talk about issues. But you wouldn't have to concern yourself with certain issues if you were focused on the community. People can make changes in their community. I'm not going to make a change at the federal government, not unless I'm a lobbyist. But like my local area, my mayor, I can run for mayor, I can run for city council, or I can just be a person in the public that raises awareness about issues. And because my community is smaller, I can have more of an impact because I can plant a seed that gets planted and is allowed to grow by somebody else. I can't do that on a national level. And that's why I'm an anarchist. Yeah. It's because I don't want that power structure that low status people in communities or in the nation run to get you to do what they want. That's what politics is. That's what government is. I'm going to run to the government and get you to bend the knee to me. Yeah. And then these people want to turn around like, oh, the government sucks. Yeah, the government sucks. That's why you shouldn't keep running to them to like do your bidding. Yeah. It's a back and forth partisan battle between right and left. That's why I refuse to call myself right or left. Yeah. Like you've seen both sides do it. You've seen Republicans run to the government. Oh, gays can't get married. Why? They're minding their own business. Yeah. And then you see liberals now. Oh my God, if you go against our orthodoxy, we're just going to label you a Nazi. Like, I'll be real. The only people in my life that have ever called me a Nazi or a white supremacist, despite the fact that I have a Star of David tattoo on my left arm, are white people. No person of color has ever called me a racist. Yeah. None. Yeah. And I've had conversations about police brutality, criminal justice, all this with a wide variety of people from ethnic backgrounds, right? Only white women. Excuse me, white women. White suburban. Oh my God, you don't have a BLM sign in your front. Yeah, it's my private property. Step off, white woman. Like, I'm not here for this stuff. Like, it's that kind of stuff. Like, because like all these people, like they're searching under their couches and pillows for white supremacists and stuff. When I'm more concerned in today's time with my neighbors that have political signs, whether they be pro-Trump or pro-whatever else, and if our country falls to shit, are they going to come to my house? Who do you support?
Yeah.
None of y'all motherfuckers get the shit off my porch.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here for this.
Yeah.
And I'm really concerned about that. Like,
Yeah.
if shit does pop off in this system, are my allegiances going to be questioned because of the yard signs around my neighborhood?
Yeah.
Most of which are liberal at this point.
Right.
I live in a mostly liberal neighborhood. But it's like, I don't want people to assign my neighbor's politics to me, nor do I want my neighbor to question my politics on my front step.
Right.
Like, it's not going to happen. This is my private property. You go over there, put your signs up, do all what you want. And I'll say this too. The number one group of people I see with BLM signs in their front yards, they're all white people. Like, when I drive by and I see, like, I've seen, like, blacks wearing, like, BLM t-shirts and stuff. But as far as, like, BLM, like, yard signs and all this, but I saw a dude with, like, Malcolm X up there, power fisting, walks out his house. White as the driven snow. I'm like, bro, did you just come from Scandinavia? Like, Jesus. I'm like, it's because it's become such a virtue signal for white people.
Right.
Because I really feel like in this type of system, low status. Now, when I say low status, I'm not talking about income level. I'm talking about alpha versus beta mindset. So when you're a low status person, you don't know how to affect hegemony towards other people, like influence. You don't know how to influence other people without the power of the government.
Right.
That's what this whole thing is. So basically, you have all these white people out there that are using this whole orthodoxy and ideology to basically lambast other white people. I'm the good white because I have a BLM sign in my yard. That don't mean shit to me. Do Black Lives Matter? Absolutely. But your yard sign doesn't mean anything to me. Because, like, if you're a white person, why are you putting up a BLM sign in a neighborhood that is 95% white? Is anybody black going to see that?
Yeah.
Is any Hispanic going to see that? No, it's just going to be a bunch of white people. So you're virtue signaling to other white people that I believe this. Okay, who cares?
Yeah, it's tough. That was I was gonna ask you a couple questions there. Do you follow, like, not like where do you get your news from, but like, okay, so I'll give you for instance. So for me, like on YouTube, right? Like if I'm seeing things in like the current events landscape and stuff like that. For instance, I don't know if you ever heard of Tim Pool.
I have.
Like he has like a daily, like almost like a podcast thing that he does like every weeknight or whatever.
Yeah, I watched him last night. He had Michael Malice on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I appreciate some of the viewpoints that and perspectives that Michael Malice has. Is he like I know that he's an ANCAP guy and you're as well. Like,
no, I've been an ANCAP before Michael Malice made a name for himself, but he is someone I follow very heavily because he makes good arguments for. Hey, look, I'm an anarchist because I don't want to be governed the same way you do.
Right.
I don't want to live in, because all these people, well, you signed a social contract. Well, contracts have my signature on them. I didn't sign shit. And I don't want to live in your society. I don't benefit from your society, and it has nothing to do with the color of my skin or my sexuality. I don't benefit from it at all. Like, you want to keep me locked up in my house because of COVID and then give me pittance, $1,400? Nah. Like, nah. Like, what am I gaining out of that system? You know, working class white dudes in this country are being called Nazis and shit because they're working class and they're disgruntled about not having jobs. So they must be Nazis.
Yeah. So would you say then he had a line last night too, because like I said, I watched that one as well because everything that he says like is kind of like, and not to like, you know, stroke his ego, but like, you know, like people like that I appreciate because they have like a deep understanding of kind of what's going on and things much like yourself.
Well, he understands, like I did when I was here last time, that this is a religion for a lot of people. Government is.
Right.
Specifically white suburbanite liberals. It's a religion. That's why these people can, you know, go to police protests last year and then, you know, have all this outrage over what happened on January 6th. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be upset about it. You can have whatever feelings you want to have about what happened on the 6th.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that, you know, these hypocritical 180s.
Right.
It's a cathedral. He calls it the cathedral.
Yeah.
Like the Capitol building is the cathedral for these people. And I think a lot of it is, where would these people be without the system? They're not like us. They're lost. They need this structure. And keep in mind, these are the same people that will tell you, oh, it's a white supremacist government. So you are a white suburbanite telling me my government is full of white supremacists. Keep in mind, I got a Jewish mother. Yet you want me to rely on this system for my everything. So you're a white person defending a system you think is built off white supremacy. What does that make you?
Might be a white supremacist, I think.
There you go. I mean, listen, because MAGA has checked out of the system.
Right. Yeah.
Trump supporters don't give a shit about the system. Remember, they were trying to overthrow the Capitol building. They don't care about this system. Yeah. So if you were a white person left defending a system you think is white supremacist, what does that make you, homeboy?
Yeah.
It's just I'm not trying to call you one,
right.
But by your own logic, Come on.
Yeah, that's the tough thing and you see it all the time is just the logical, fallacies of like of those types of arguments and things like that.
They do that stuff because they're blind partisans politically. And it's another reason I don't view the world politically like that. Because that's you twist your mind in pretzels trying to defend shit you wouldn't defend otherwise. The only reason you're defending this is because the guy you voted for is doing it. Because the party that he's a member of, that you're a member of, is doing it.
Right.
And elections matter more than kids in cages.
Yeah.
That's the end game. I mean, 15,000 unaccompanied minors entered our country last month illegally. Just in March, 15,000. We're those same people that were calling it crime against humanity, internment camps, likening it to FDR locking up Japanese American citizens over concerns of dual loyalty. Nowhere. They're back to brunch. They're in Lawrenceville hanging out with their hipster friends. They're nowhere.
Yeah.
They're nowhere. And they do comment, they twist their minds in pretzels. Well, this is different than Trump. Like, how? It's the same issue, but worse. Like, it was a bad issue under Trump. Mind you, I'm not supporting what he did with this. But it was a bad issue under Trump that has gotten worse under your boy. So why am I not allowed to criticize both administrations for their response to this issue?
Yeah, what a wild situation. Because, like, I mean, when you say your boy there, it's like, but you get a lot of the people that said, well, we didn't like Biden, we just didn't like Trump.
Well, tough shit. That's why you shouldn't vote.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, if you don't like, listen, for those listening, if you don't like any candidate that's running, stay home. That's just as valuable as you voting for somebody you actually like. Do not be emotionally manipulated by partisans from either party or the Green Party or anybody to go vote for somebody you don't want to vote for. If you think that both candidates are shit, stay home and twiddle your thumbs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing too. Is like I think in the past people kind of see that as that was a campaign. That was a no vote is a vote for Trump.
Well, that was their campaign. I told them to kiss my ass. I told them to kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Like, if you really, and here's the thing, they knew Joe Biden was such garbage. That's why they had to vilify Trump as much as they did.
Yeah.
Trump had to be a fascist because that's the only way on earth you're going to vote for a 90-year-old dude with dementia. That's the only way. We have to be under such a serious threat from fascism and white supremacy as a country that we're going to combat that by electing the senator that threw more black and brown men in prison for weed use. Keep in mind, Joe Biden was sending predominantly black and brown men to prison for weed and cocaine use while his son Hunter was doing the same shit and getting rehab and slaps on the wrist for it.
You're not allowed to talk about that.
Oh, I can't talk about that. I have to empathize for Hunter Biden being a crackhead, but how much empathy did his dad show black and brown men who were addicted to the same drugs in the 90s when he was writing the 94 crime bill? None. Oh, we're going to lock you away for 10 years. Meanwhile, my son can get kicked out of the Army, the Air Force, I think he was in, for cocaine use, which should be a dishonorable discharge. And a lot of people don't know, if you get a dishonorable discharge, that's a felony on your record.
Yeah.
No, what did he get? Nothing.
Yeah. You
want to talk about white privilege? Hello? Daddy's sending black and brown men to prison for doing the same crime you get rehab for.
Yeah. It's wild. It's almost like, I would say it's almost brainwashing.
I mean, it is brainwashing. It's partisan brainwashing. Like, you have to support one of these two sides. No, I don't.
Right.
I'm gonna go to my land in Wyoming, smoke weed, hang out with lady boys, and just shoot my AK. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to join, I mean, feel free to come hang out. But I mean, other than that, like, just leave me alone.
Yeah. I want to make a point here too, because like, all of these points I think have been very valid. And again, we're kind of just basing this off logic, reason, and fact for the most part, right? But the problem is that, at least one of the issues, there's several things, is like, you come at somebody like this, or like you have this discussion, right? And then like somebody's watching, let's say, for instance, and they hear these types of things, or they hear it on the mainstream media and all this other shit too, like these different things, and they get like emotional. They get emotional towards, like as a reaction to it.
It's because they're all white women.
That may be true. I don't know, but they get like emotional as a reaction to that. But really, it's not even. The trouble is like we're in like this divisiveness, and it's not even like me against XYZ or like.
Here's the thing.
It's
like,
not.
You
It's
have a lot
not
of people out there that are attacking. They don't know who.
Right.
They're just
It's
driven
very
by
strange.
They're just driven. Here's the thing. Here's the reason I brought up white women, and I'm not throwing all white women under the bus, but enough of them do it that I have to generalize.
Mm-hmm.
This is all about white women. It's all about white women. Because hear me out. Who is privileged enough in this country? Now, me, I'm a bisexual man, so I am a member of the LGBT community. So obviously, I'm an ally of the community. Who has time and privilege to sit around thinking about a million genders? Who has time and privilege to sit around thinking about a million sexualities and, pronouns? They attacked, what was her name? Sarah Paulson, the lesbian actress.
Mm-hmm.
They attacked her because she didn't have her pronouns in her bio. And she was like, don't tell me what to do. And then they jumped her for that. And it's
What a
like,
weird thing to
and the
jump
thing is,
somebody.
all the people that jumped her shit were white women in liberal arts colleges that talk shit about white people all day, yet the fact that they're only in college because of their rich white dad.
Yeah.
I know a million women like this. I was describing it to my friends as, have you seen that movie 10 Things I Hate About You?
Yeah.
With Julia Stiles. This is Julia Stiles' character if she never meets Heath Ledger. If the shrew never gets tamed, this is her. Remember, Julia Stiles' character in that movie became a feminist because the jock at the high school, who was also trying to, date her sister, he banged her and didn't date her. That's why she became a feminist. The popular guy didn't date me and make me his. The wealthiest guy in the school didn't make me his girlfriend, so I'm going to be mad at rich white dudes. That's her. And then not to mention the fact that she had a single father trying to warn her about the responsibilities of being a single mother at her age, along with her sister. She resented her father, too. Now, I get the part where, she wanted to go off and do her own thing and not live his life, because he was trying to get her to, go to, his college.
Yeah.
So I get all that.
Yeah.
But, she was a woman scorned by one dude. One dude. And then she becomes, this uber feminist, fuck off, man. I'm going to, not just that, but she's going to be a social outcast. She won't even socialize with anybody, let alone her own sister.
Yeah.
It's this one dude screws me over, so fuck the world, man.
Yeah.
But that's this movement, bro. That's this movement. These women have nothing else to do. People that need to pay bills don't sit around and talk about a million genders. I'm sorry, they don't. White girls who have dads that pay their college do. End of. It gets on my nerves so damn much. Yeah. It's because there's two people on Twitter that I know if they're trending, it's because they pissed off rich white women. Bill Burr.
Yeah, Bill Burr.
And Glenn Greenwald.
Yeah, Glenn. Yeah.
Bill Burr, I love him. Because he goes on SNL and he took the words right out of my mouth. Anytime people of color want to have their own activist movement, as they should, where's that white woman? Gucci-toed foot, over the line, right in the front. Right in the front. And he's married to a black woman.
Yeah.
So what are these white women going to say? Oh, fuck you. You're still racist. I don't care if you're married to a dark-skinned black woman. You racist piece of shit. No. They're mad at Bill Burr because he's a successful, wealthy, rich white man who took his money and his inheritance and his seed to a black woman and had a family with her instead of a white woman. That's why they mad. They mad. Same reason they mad at Glenn Greenwald. Because Glenn Greenwald is a gay, successful millionaire man who's married happily to a Hispanic man. They live in Brazil.
Yeah.
And what does he do online? He does like me. He makes fun of these little prissy white girls that work at New York Times, that only have a job there because of daddy's money and his connections, that want to get online and cry. They say, getting comments on Twitter is akin to violence. No, I've seen real violence.
Yeah.
I've seen people get their ass beat by cops. You want to talk about violence, white girl? There you go. These people are so coddled. And I'm not trying to say these people are evil, but they're trying to help and affect issues they have no understanding of. You live in a gated community.
Yeah.
You go to a private school that's almost exclusively white. What do you know about black issues?
Right.
How do you know how to fix criminal justice? You might see one cop a year. It might be the school resource officer.
Yeah.
What are your interactions? And that's why I'm very much against the politics, because of the fact these people hate guns. Because they don't live in environments where you need a gun to defend yourself. Because daddy's got money to get private security or this or that. So it's these people support policies that make African Americans criminals by default in their own communities simply for owning a gun. And owning a gun is a human right, because self-defense is a human right.
Yeah.
So what they see on the news is they see all these gang activity in some of these neighborhoods when 5% of the neighborhood prescribes to that kind of shit. So what are the other 95 going to do to defend themselves from it? You criminalize guns. So as soon as you're black and in that neighborhood and you got a gun, you're a criminal. Doesn't matter if you're not a drug dealer. Doesn't matter if you're not a trafficker. Doesn't matter if you're not doing anything else. You just simply are a human being in your own community owning a gun. But because of these laws made by people that live nowhere near you, you are now a criminal by default.
Yeah.
And then you then you wonder why. Then these people wonder out loud, well, why are there so many interactions between blacks and cops? That's why. Because you make them criminals by default.
Yeah.
If you would allow these people to own guns in their neighborhoods to protect them from the criminal elements in their neighborhoods, they wouldn't be criminals.
Yeah.
But you force cops to, do what they got to do to abide by the law themselves. Like, hey, that guy might not have a record, but he's got a gun in a neighborhood where that gun's not allowed. He's now a criminal. So congratulations, guys.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Stuck. Yeah, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place on that. That's fucking shitty.
Well, the rock and the hard place is, the cops want to do their job, and then people that don't live in their neighborhoods, they want to enforce these laws that they know they'll never see the repercussions personally for it. It's like, oh, we're going to take guns out of you. Like, love, you don't understand. Like, this is not your gated community. These people actually have a threat, not just in police, because, some police interactions go afoul, but what about the people in their neighborhoods that actually are criminal elements? You want me to live in a gang-infested neighborhood with no way to defend myself? Kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Like these dudes got gold-plated AKs and Barrett 50s that are getting trafficked across the border.
Yeah.
What am I going to do, mace?
Mace.
I'm going to throw my car keys at them. Good Lord, man.
They actually, that's funny that this is incredible timing, too, with that being last night, and we both watched that, because they talked a lot about that, too, because Malice is big on, like, anti-police, basically. Like, he doesn't like police in a way, right?
Well, yeah, and like my whole thing is, like I told you before, like I'm anti-police too. Like I don't hate cops. Like I'm not gonna go, shoot cops sitting in their cars and stuff. Like I'm not a terrorist.
Right.
But I don't want cops around unless they need to be around.
Right. Yeah. That's
End
what
of
I mean,
story. And it's just the fact that and I'm so glad that like right wingers have got off this back to blue bullshit. It's like, look, if you want to respect public servants, be my guest. But, if Beto O'Rourke wants those guns, it's going to be your favorite cop taking that gun out of your hands to protect his station with the state. Right. You think that cop is going to give up his position within a position of authority, mind you, with the government that is now enforcing authoritarian measures? No, he's going to keep that shit. Because you know why? That cop has a family to feed too.
Right.
You think he's going to throw all that away to join your revolution? No, he's going to protect his family in his own interest. Because everybody in this world is self-interested. Everybody. Never think for a second that he's a neighbor of mine. I know he's a good cop. It don't matter. Because he's going to be taken to the office, be like, look, you join us or you're fired. And if he's fired, what does that mean for his family? Loses his house, loses his kid, loses his wife. So it's like, no, it's like you need to trust people. You need to trust yourself and the people that you know real well. Outside of that, especially if they got a badge, government authority, nah.
Yeah, I guess it's more of like an anti-establishment type thing.
It's very anti-establishment. It's very anti-establishment. It's because at some point that cop is going to put a boot up my ass for the well-being of a low-status person. That's what it is. It doesn't matter if I'm a black guy walking through Central Park just bird watching and some bougie white woman wants to call the cops on me. Doesn't matter if I'm some guy doesn't want to wear a mask in a Walmart. It's going to be some low-status person using government authority to flex on you. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I always hear all this, and I'm like, well, how do you fix it? And I think I might have asked this last time, but I still don't have an answer.
I mean, you fix it. I think you fix it the way Michael Malice says. We have to separate. There has to be a peaceful divorce. We can no longer be one country. Yeah. We can't. I don't want civil war. I don't want people fighting their neighbors on the street. For who? Right. Politicians? I'm not fighting my neighbor for a politician. Yeah. I mean, if he wants to throw down, I'll defend myself.
That's the fucked up thing. Yeah,
but I live by the non-aggression pact. Yeah. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. Yeah. End of story. I just want to live on my farm in peace. William Wallace, like, leave me be, bro. The English, they're not here yet. Whatever. Like, I'm gonna live on my farm, bro. But that's it, man. It's just I truly think that we have to divide as a country, and I think that's something that's gonna happen all around the world, not just here. I think I was telling my buddy Rob, because I talk to him all the time on Facebook Messenger while we're working at home. Yeah. Just kind of kill time. And I was saying, I think the future of humanity is a cross between like Blade Runner and like smaller like trading city states. Like you remember like Venice back in like medieval days. They weren't like kingdoms. They were just like this one area like trading. Yeah. And they were ran by like oligarchs. Yeah. So like wealthy families, and then they had like the middle class and stuff. But I think we're going to return to that. Yeah. I think our current nation states have gotten too big. You can't manage 350 million people.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked.
Plus, you have how many tens of thousands every year coming across the border, legally or illegally. So you can't manage. Like, our government probably doesn't even know half the people in its own country. How is that secure? How am I safe?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just had a guy today that went to the Capitol and ran over a cop and tried to stab people.
I did see that on lockdown. Yeah.
Like, we're not safe. I don't feel safe. The only reason I feel safe is because I have a strap and I know how to use it. Like, my government is not going to protect me. I'm a white guy.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to white knight for me? Nobody.
Yeah, you got to do it for yourself. Question on that, actually. So let's say that somebody doesn't own a gun, never shot a gun or anything like that. Like, what would you recommend there for them to feel educated and confident and like that they can actually use it if they need to? Like, kind of the.
Where's the thing? Number one thing when it comes to buying a gun, don't buy a gun you don't intend to train with because you'll still suck. Like, guns do not instantly ensure your safety, which is why I not only bought one, I trained with it. You need to go to the range as often as you can. And I'll say this, rifles are different than handguns. You know, I'm a rifle guy. Came up in the Army, been hunting since I was a little kid with my grandfather. Handguns are a new thing to me. So it's a totally different deal. And what I would tell people is, at the very least, get a handgun. You know, and get something that's 9mm, maybe 45 ACP, something that's going to have stopping power. You know, because you tell all these women, oh, we live in a rape culture. Okay, arm the women. Oh, we can't do that. No, I want women that are going to be raped to shoot that rapist's dick off.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want a dickless rapist.
Yeah.
But you want to tell these women, oh, don't arm yourself. Pepper spray. Pepper spray? What's pepper spray going to do a crackhead? Yeah. He eats pepper spray for breakfast. This dude injects crack into his system every hour on hour. But hey, man, just spray him in the face with pepper. Good Lord.
Maybe it'll work. I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, hopeful. It's hopeful. And then maybe after that, the government will come save you. No, ladies. If you listen, it happens. Oh, and then look too, like the UK, they had a UK Metropolitan Police officer murdering women, a serial murderer of women as a cop. And then when women protested this, they beat the shit out of him.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like. So these people want you defenseless, and then when the murderer themselves is a cop, and you protest that, they'll beat you in the face with a riot shield.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, why don't you like cops?
Jeez.
Like, people don't understand. Like, they don't disarm you for your safety. They disarm you for their safety. Yeah. Why do you think you see big gun control pushes after January 6th? Because that's the cathedral. You attacked the cathedral. It was all fine and dandy when you were blowing up targets in your own neighborhood. Hey, they have insurance, so small business owners have it. Yeah, so does my government. I know because they tax the shit out of me. So I'm pretty sure they have insurance. Oh, Nancy Pelosi's desk had her feet on it. Oh, my God. I'm sure she can replace the desk.
Yeah, man. How have we gotten to this point now where people think it's like okay to tell other people how it is to live and stuff like that, rather than just like being like, this is how I feel. You know, I'm not hurting anybody. You don't hurt anybody, and we just do what the hell we want to do.
It's the same mindset you got out of like the religious right, like the 90s and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've adopted this religious code. This is how I live my life. It works for me. It will work for you too. And like, hey, if you want to spread the gospel peacefully and people accept it, good for them. But it's when it becomes forcibly put on people by government. Right. You know, that's where we get to this point. And like we talked about before, there are a lot of people in this country who would be nowhere without the system, which is why they talk shit about the system all day. But when the system gets attacked, they realized, oh, shit, what am I going to do without this? And like I was talking about before, I do truly, genuinely think we are going to move to smaller nation states, just simply because people do not want to be governed the same way as other people on that large of a scale. They simply don't. You know I don't. I'd rather know everybody I live near. Yeah. You know, even if I'm not best friends with them, I want to know, like, hey, that's Bob. That's Bob's kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel that. Like, I live in a suburb. I know 2 of my neighbors. I might know, like, what a handful of the rest of them look like, but I don't know 90% of people that live in my neighborhood. I have no clue. Yeah. Now, that's a big difference between when I was growing up in the 90s. When I was growing up in the 90s, another upper middle class suburb in, you know, Virginia, I knew everybody that lived in my street. At the very least, everybody that lived on my street. Yeah. Everybody. The dad's name, the mom's name, the kid's name, whether I hung out with them or not, I knew who they were. Maybe I even like showed their kids at the bus stop. Now, nah, I don't know. Yeah. I could, but I have talked to my neighbor. If you look at my house on the street, the neighbor on the right, I've talked to him like a handful of times. I couldn't tell you his name. He knows my name. I kind of feel bad, but I could like My neighbors to the other side, they're an elderly couple, Eleanor and Frank. I know their names. Yeah, I just met their son. Don't know his name for shit. Forgot. Maybe that's my fault, but I kind of feel like that's the lack of community.
Yeah.
That's the lack of community that we have. And it all stems back from people. When you take away the community, people need to rely more on the system. So now these people want to push, you need to live your life like this. No, I don't. You need to be concerned about these issues. Well, I am, but not to the extreme level that you are. Like I told you last time I was here, criminal justice is the most important social justice. You know, it is, because it deals with how easily the state can throw you in prison for whatever they want to. You know, you want to talk about unjust, you know, all these people talk about, people on death row that are wrongly convicted. Yeah, well, yeah, why don't we talk more about criminal justice then? You want to talk about gender. I don't care about gender. You can call yourself Zir if all I give a shit. If I'm not fucking you, it's none of my business. If I'm not included in your sex life, it's none of my business. Stop talking to me about it. I don't care. Let's talk about American citizens getting thrown in jail for an you want to talk about how much the YouTube algorithm changes? How about American law? Like, what's illegal today? Like, what can I do out in my own private property? Like, I already know by default I can't fuck with my neighbors. But as an anarchist, that's the code I live by anyway. But what can I do yesterday that is going to get me in jail today because my government said so? Like, nobody wants to talk about that. And if they do, it's only like surface level shit like, well, cop shot a guy today. Well, that's a problem. But what about like district attorneys, judges, all these people? Because one of the things that really got me into criminal justice as my first and foremost reason for not only being an anarchist, but, you know, it's the number one thing I would say that I'm an activist for is criminal justice reform, is the case of the West Memphis 3, which was in the early 90s. It was these 3 young white boys were murdered out in Arkansas. Bodies were dumped in Turtle Creek. They discovered their bikes, later discovered their bodies. The case went unsolved for about a year and a half, and this was like during the satanic panic era in the late 80s, early 90s. Like, anybody live back then would know. Like, everything was, you couldn't watch Oprah without it being like, oh, Satanism's on the rise and all this, right? Jeez. Like, just trying to put like that fear into people. And what happened was after this case went unsolved, this is like a Arkansas, I think Bill Clinton was still governor for a little bit before he became president in 92. But so, you know, the district attorney is up for re-election. The judge is up for re-election, and this case is unsolved. So what are their political careers looking like? So they're like, hey, we need to do something. Let's go to the trailer park and find 3 Wiccan guys that have Metallica T-shirts on and say they killed these boys. Say they did it out of satanic ritual shit. That's what they did. They took 3 16-year-old men that had nothing to do with this crime whatsoever. One of them was mentally retarded. Jeez. And that's the one. And of course, that's the one they got the fucking admission to the crime out of. Not the fucking 2 dudes that were, you know, average IQ. It was the guy that had mental handicaps. They locked that mentally handicapped young man into a room for 24 hours straight and got him they coerced him into admitting to murdering 3 boys and butchering their bodies. Crime he didn't do. He even had physical evidence he was in another state at a wrestling event. Didn't matter. You know, and they threw these 3 young men in prison for 20 years. And then once they finally let them out, they gave them an Alford plea. You know what an Alford plea is? Basically, where you plead innocent. Well, you plead guilty, but you publicly state your innocence. And what it's for in this case was so that they couldn't turn around after getting released, you know, for 20 years and sue the state of Arkansas for unlawful prison imprisonment. That's what it was. That's why they gave these kids an Alford plea. It was bullshit. Even the new, because they were going to go to a retrial. And even the prosecutor that was going to be, you know, leading the retrial, he said, we don't have enough evidence to convict these guys. Well, you didn't have enough evidence 20 years ago then. How do you not have enough evidence to convict with modern technology when they got released, which was like, I think 2007, 2008? How do you not have the technology then, but, you did back when they got arrested? That was enough to convict them. You were pulling people out the woodwork. And it's like, people don't understand. It's like, these people will throw you in fucking prison and forget about you. One guy was put on death row for a crime he wasn't even nowhere near. Just to advance their political careers. Because a DA can't make their salt if they aren't solving crime. So if he has an unsolved case involving 3 young boys' bodies floating up in a river, he's got to solve that or he's going to be out of a job. So he picked 3 white trash kids from the trailer park he knew nobody would give a shit about except their own families. And he let them rot in prison for 20 years. You know, and like people don't want to talk about that kind of stuff. Listen, police interactions are going to happen. Some are going to be good, some are going to be bad. I'm more worried about that kind of shit. Like if you say you're worried about unjust imprisonment, innocent people behind bars, innocent people on death row, well, there you go. That kind of shit, which you should be focusing on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like it's just.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, a lot of people like. I've heard those stories before too. Like either like, I mean, I guess that one was unsolved, and then they kind of fabricated the thing. But you know, just putting people, not even like doing the due diligence of stuff, and then people, you know, being in prison for a long time. And
well, yeah, because a crime that started with 3 victims now has 6 victims, and the murderers of those 3 original victims are still out there. Yeah. You solved nothing.
Yeah.
But you advanced your career.
Yeah.
You know, because that district attorney, guess what he became? A judge. Of course he did.
How did we get to this? How did we get to the point where not like everyone is like self-serving, even though that's the thing, but like was there, if you look, because you know history much better than I do, if you look back on it, where it was probably slow over time, but like what was the cause of people in our government, or was it ever different where they gave more of a shit about the people than themselves? Was there ever a time like even
Julius Caesar?
Julius Caesar.
That's why they murdered him. Long may he reign. No, he was the populist emperor.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the elites back in Roman times, during Julius Caesar's time, and I'm not gonna defend he committed fucking genocide in Gauls.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, you know, a populist versus like an elitist, he was populist. He had the hearts of the people in Rome. Because, you know, a lot of his legions were made up of ordinary Romans. And before that, before like some type of reform, because before those reforms, plebs couldn't serve in the Roman military. Like that Roman military was for like middle class people because there was some a certain status to being a veteran. Same like Greek style too. And also each legion was actually backed by a senator. So each senator in the Roman Senate, they had their own legion. And that's why it was made up of, you know, the middle classes instead of the plebs. But a lot of the soldiers that fought for Julius Caesar, they were plebs. So he won the hearts of the people doing that, like expanding into Gaul and like, you know, sharing a lot of the fruits of the labor with, you know, the poor people in Rome. And his fellow elitists hated that. You know, Mark Antony hated that. They all hated it. Pompey, Pompey, he hated that. And that's why they killed him. They killed him because they knew that, because here's the thing. They knew that the future of Rome lied in its people. And I remember after Octavian, who succeeded Julius Caesar, a lot of Roman history is full of civil war. And it's because a lot of these generals started buying out soldiers' loyalties. So they knew that they knew their elitist stations were over if Julius Caesar had the people. Now it came to bite them in the back anyway, because Octavian was like, "Hey man, you killed my uncle, coming to get you." You know, I'm gonna be Augustus of all this shit.
Yeah.
You know, he chased down Mark Antony down to Egypt when he was hanging out with Cleopatra. You know, got rid of Pompey. Took control of northern Africa. So, I mean, yeah, he did his thing, but that's why Julius Caesar got betrayed by his own people, by his own elites, because he had his pulse on the people. He had their backing. They did it. They were the decadent leaders that we kind of have now, because a lot of people have been talking about like rise and falls of civilization with what's going on in our country right now, and it's true. Because I was telling Rob this. You reach a weak point in society when you have to maintain empires through mercenaries, as opposed to people who actually give a shit about what they're fighting for. You know, most of our war fighting is done by mercenaries. That's why the military doesn't give a shit if regular, everyday, big army guys wear fucking high heels. They'll use those guys for social experiments because they're not fighting.
Yeah.
Like the Blackwater dudes are fighting. Those kinds of guys.
Right.
But that's when you know you've reached, because I mean, we have built empires as the United States. Like, we have built an empire. Like, we're overseas in the Middle East to secure, you know, natural resources. That's day one shit. That's day one shit. But on the backside, you have people that are so focused on decadence. It's just this overwhelming need and urge to just consume. but not produce. That's the problem. We are led by people that produce nothing but consume everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have leadership that produces something, whether for the people or in general,
mm-hmm.
you know, you can work with that kind of system because you're never going to get rid of corruption, 100% at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to have corruption, like nepotism at the very least. Like, oh, hey, my brother can work in government. Yeah. But you can still have competent government if people give a shit enough to give back and take care of the everyday people with what they have. But you're really relying on people that aren't decadent and understand what they are doing when they give back to the people is not making an investment on their future. They're making an investment on the future of their country in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of these people, like, the lower class everyday people, they're the ones that give a shit about culture. They're the ones that give a shit about history because it's all they have. The stories of the great people. Like the stories of this or that going on in the neighborhood. That's what they have. Elites don't have that. Elites travel all over the fucking place. Oh, I'm a citizen of the world. Like, poor people don't think like that. I'm a citizen of my own freaking community.
Yeah.
I might not even let the state.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's the whole thing. Like, you have to have leadership that gives the people a reason to give a shit about where they live if you're going to have that kind of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have that in this country. We fight wars with mercenaries. Mercenaries have no allegiance to the United States. They have allegiance to money.
Mm-hmm.
And you have these guys fighting wars on our behalf in foreign countries with American flags on their uniforms. Like, what's that make us look like? We got Blackwater out in Iraq killing innocent civilians with American flags in our outfits. Good shit. It keeps me. Thank you for defending my freedoms. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's all what it is, man. We're in a age of decadence. And I'm not saying I'm against degeneracy. I'm a fucking degenerate myself. But it's just you can't bask yourself in that completely. Like, I can be a degenerate without being a hedonist. I don't need to go to that well every day. Now, what it means is when I do go to that well, maybe I take my kink to a different level that some people aren't used to. But I don't need to go to that well every day. I don't need to have sex every day. But you have these people in society, like, again, they consume everything but produce nothing. It's just consumption. Like, how many people in our government, including our current president, Joe Biden, how many of them have never worked a day in the private sector?
Probably a lot.
A lot of them. All they know how to do is public sector bullshit work. And like a lot of trust people are like, oh, drain the swamp. Well, the swamp is your average politician because he's never worked in the private sector.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to create, produce, and sell. All he knows how to do is take from you and give it to somebody else. That's all he knows how to do. Because the first governments were actually created to protect trade routes. But then those governments decided, oh, we can just tax and take our cut for it. Basically, it was like a protection racket. Like the mob runs. Like the first governments were basically mobs. Like, hey, we'll defend your trade route, but we need our cut. Hey, fair enough. But then governments became so big that they tax people just for breathing in air in their own house. Yeah. Like you got people in Britain paying a television license to BBC. Like, what, 300 pounds a year for shit broadcasting?
That's ridiculous.
But that's where you get to on empire decline. You just get stretched so thin. And, on the backside here, too, like, think about what we're teaching kids in schools. We're teaching people that we have no history. White people have no culture. White people have no history. So if I have no history, what am I fighting for? Why should I give a shit about the United States? I'm a white dude. I have no culture. What am I left to defend? Nothing. Yeah. How are you going to make me give a shit about the flag and country if the flag and country are nothing to me? And you tell me they're nothing to me. I won't. Yeah. And then you'll get mad at me.
Yeah. It's tough. It's a vicious cycle there. I don't know.
Yeah, so since I've been in high school, we've gone from bombs over Baghdad to bombs over Damascus. That's the progress we've made in 20 years. Because I remember, like, we were bombing Baghdad when Outkast had that hit song, Bombs Over Baghdad. Played it everywhere. It's like the early memes of like the early 2000s. That was like my high school meme era right there. But now we're just dropping bombs in the country right next door. Like that, we've moved next door.
Next door.
And like I told you, like when you were fixing the camera, like Syria got 1,400 bombs before I got my $1,400.
That's hilarious, dude. Everybody was so excited about that, and then like, where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money?
Oh no! Kamala Harris was like, we're gonna give you $2,000 a month, yay, slay queen, and then I got $1,400
once.
Yeah. Once.
And it was late.
Late too. Late. He said that was a first week priority. Nope. Getting a Raytheon guy as Secretary of Defense and then dropping bombs over Damascus was a first week priority. Paying my ass was, I'll do it when I get enough pressure to do it. Okay.
Dude, and then we were talking about the malice thing from last night too. It was talking about like the quote that you had, which we should bring that up. But then also the thing about war, where it was like people don't understand like all there's some terrorism things like that from like people that are like in Syria, like people that come over here and like get like kind of angry in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, and we're like, why is this happening? We need like all these different things. But it's like. They're just mad at you for your freedoms, he said.
No.
But no, it's not. That's not it. We're literally fucking them over there.
Well, they're mad because we've been in the country for 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
And now like the story comes out when Trump's president. Russia put bounties in Afghanistan on U.S. troops. If you need a bounty in Afghanistan to kill U.S. troops after we've been there for 20 years, you must be broke. Because what more motivation do you need to go kill U.S. troops than, hey, shit, they've been in my country for 20 years.
Yeah.
That seems like a reasonable reason, like, well, not reasonable. I don't like not trying to promote violence. I'm just saying that sounds like something that would motivate somebody to go kill U.S. troops without Putin showing up like, hey, I'll give you some shekels for that. like, really? Yeah. But like, and not only that, I'm glad you brought this up because, like, Omar Mateen, when he shot the Pulse nightclub, they said that he did it because he was a closet gay. Bullshit! He was not a closet gay. He called the cops mid-massacre and was like, I'm doing this for my brothers in Syria, my brothers in Afghanistan, my brothers in Iraq. Yeah. You have Americans dying on U.S. soil in terrorist attacks for our foreign policy, but we're over there for our freedoms. My freedoms don't exist in Karachi, Pakistan. My freedoms exist here where my representatives or whoever's electing these cunts, in California, they're like, well, Jack Dorsey, we need you to censor. Why don't we drone strike Jack Dorsey? That's my freedoms, right? If defending my freedoms is justifying enough to go out there and obliterate Afghanistan, obliterate Pakistan, obliterate all these Middle Eastern Muslim countries, then where's his drone strike? He's obliterating my freedoms right now. Yeah. If I piss off a white woman on Twitter, I'm done. But I gotta bomb Afghanistan back to a Stone Age.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah. That's so crazy, man. Yeah. And like I think I get all my information from fucking Tim Pool, I guess. But like they also said like like you can kind of like make an argument that like the stuff that China's doing and everything like that, they're taking over different places.
China,
like maybe, are we like the police? Are we the police force or what's the deal? Like I don't know.
I'm not too concerned about China because they're just getting into the industrial era.
Yeah.
And they're like talking hype about it too.
Right.
They're like,
yeah.
Brother, we had factories like 100 years ago, bro.
I think the trouble with them is it's just like next generation. Like they're infiltrating us, not like militarily, but but it's like almost like
IP,
psychological.
It's like stealing IP, like intellectual property, so like that. So I understand that. But no, like what's the thing too? Like you talk about these people, like, well, we need to, like I talk like a Democrat. We need to be in Syria to defend Syria. Like, listen, man, if the Syrians want to fight a civil war, more power to you. Go get rid of Assad. Moral support.
Yeah.
But it's like, why are we up in his shit but not up in Kim Jong-un shit? Oh, Kim Jong-un got no. Oh, so we only attack people that can defend that can't defend themselves.
Right.
That's who we are as a country.
Yeah.
If you're actually somebody that can defend yourself and your nation, your people, we'll call you a warlord. We'll call you a dictator. Yeah. Joe Biden will call you a killer. Remember, Joe Biden is calling Putin a killer. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's administration under Obama, when he was VP, bombed more people than George Bush. But Putin's a killer because he's in Ukraine.
Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, and then it's too much there.
No, that's the world. That's the world we live in, bro. Yeah. It's like no, we're not trying to police the world. We're trying to secure natural resources. End of story. End of story. This is like tribalism on a nation level. That's all it is. Because I think I even brought it up before. If you have two tribes with a limited number of resources in the middle of these two tribes, what are those two tribes going to do? Share resources? No. I'm going to kill you and make sure those resources are mine. That's what we're doing on a national level. That's what we're doing. And think about all the issues going on in this country between the government and its people. Who did we blame that on? Putin. Putin. We blame that on Putin. We blame blacks getting killed by cops. Putin did that. No, he didn't. Like, imagine how xenophobic you have to be to blame your country's own failures at, the end game for your imperialism on another country. Another country whose GDP domestically is lower than it was when it was a Soviet fucking Union. Russia is more poor now than they were when they were a communist country.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Make that make sense to me.
Yeah, I wish we'd just kind of focus more on ourselves, like as a country, so instead of like fucking around with all the foreign policy stuff. Obviously
we
need
can't
some,
do that.
but
we can't do that because then Raytheon wouldn't cash them checks. All them weapons Raytheon make, they can't just sit in shelves.
Yeah.
They want the new contracts. They got to drop those bombs, baby. Bomb, baby, bomb.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. And then like this illegal immigration issue, like half these people wouldn't be rushing up here with their unaccompanied children if we weren't fucking around and meddling in their. I mean, people don't understand how much we meddle in Central and South American government affairs. The United States government, and always have, even under Obama. Like under Obama, we were all up in El Salvador, all up in Guatemala, Uruguay, all these different places. Like one of our strongest military allies in South America is Colombia. Like we're all in there. And then look what's going on with, I think it's Bolivia. In Bolivia, we bipartisanly ousted a democratically elected government leader. I don't care what the politics are. I don't care about any of that. The people that live there elected this person as their leader. And the U.S. was like, nope.
No.
Not today. I don't think you will. And they said that a guy who no one knew in Bolivia, oh, this guy's your president. I don't know that motherfucker. Who's he? We do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you realize our current government supports neo-Nazis in other countries because those neo-Nazis give us access to resources. Ukraine. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, we will support the most horrible people on planet Earth as long as they're willing to sign a trade deal with the United States government.
Yeah.
Let's do a military base. We'll give you some weapons contracts and shit like we did with Saddam. We were arming both sides of the Iraq-Iran war. I know an Iraqi. He said it was funny. He's like, because like we armed the Iraqis first. So then they're out there fighting the Iranians and the shit. And then all of a sudden during the point of war, they realized that all these Iranians started showing up with the same weaponry they had. Like, why are we all using Made in America weapons? Oh, okay.
What the fuck?
Okay, not to mention the fact, because like this is one thing I actually make fun of a lot of conservatives for, especially these days, because Hollywood sucks. Oh my God, the intelligence agencies. Well, I agree with you, but why is your favorite president Ronald Reagan? Ronald Reagan was a Hollywood actor. His vice president was the former head of the CIA, also known as George H.W. Bush. In fact, the building in Langley is named after George H.W. Bush. You know, the George H.W. Bush Center for National Intelligence. That's what the CIA headquarters is called. So your favorite president was an actor with a CIA spook as a VP. Not to mention Iran-Contra, ring a bell? Remember when Bill Clinton was training Contras and bringing up right-wing fascists from Nicaragua into Arkansas to train them to go fight communists back in Nicaragua on behalf of Pinochet, the most famous guy. He's most famous for throwing a communist off of helicopters. That's where that meme comes from. He's the one that did that. But yeah, we trained those guys. But like, oh, Ronald Reagan, I worship. Like, no, dude. Nah, dude. Like you want to know where the swamp began? Reagan. It's all Reagan. Yeah. It's all Reagan, man. Like the CIA, like his VP was CIA, then succeeded him as president for one term, mind you. But then that former CIA head's son became president after Bill Clinton. Notice that. So George W. Bush is VP after leading the CIA. Who helps train Contras in Arkansas before he becomes president? Bill Clinton. And then who succeeds Bill Clinton in presidency to finish up the job in Iraq? George Bush's son. It's all starting to click, huh? But hey, Ronald Reagan's your favorite president, though, man. You hate Hollywood actors so much, you get a prominent one with your picture up in your house. This guy right here, Ronald Reagan. Nah, bro. Can't be me. Can't be me. Because I don't know if you heard about this story, but like, because you know a lot of people are like pretending to be journalists these days, but real journalists are ones that put their lives on the line for the stories, you know, and bring people facts. And there was a guy named Gary Webb. Gary Webb was a journalist out, I think it was like the Sacramento Times Journal, something like that, out in California. But he almost by accident discovered that our CIA and FBI and other agencies were letting drug cartels pump drugs, people, and guns into mostly black communities at that time in the West Coast and the Southeast, where you have most, you know, black population in the United States. And in exchange, those cartels would use those profits in order to fund anti-communist movements in their country. That, I mean, have you seen the movie, was it American Made with Tom Cruise?
I don't think I've seen it.
That kind of touches on that a little bit because he was like a white dude pilot flying like planes. Yeah. I think he ended up flying planes for like Pablo Escobar. But yeah, like he was originally hired by the CIA to run drugs for cartels for that purpose. because they were like, yeah, we'll let you pump drugs in our country. Just fund some fascist groups. Fund some anti-commie groups in your country. Okay, we can do that. And then, Pablo Escobar was one of those fucking people. But like you talked about before, like with the Middle East stuff, we are fucking these people's countries up.
Yeah.
And we act like we're doing it for freedoms. No, you're doing it for profit. You're doing it to, basically accelerate political issues. That's why, why do I don't want the CIA and cartels pumping drugs in the black neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you got, because in the 80s, you had the 80s are referred to as the cocaine cowboy era. That's when a lot of street gangs and people who push narcotics on, our city streets, they went from weed to crack. Because weed was crack was cheaper to produce, cheaper to get a hold of, and you can move it for cheaper and move it easier. And it's more highly addictive than weed,
Yeah.
So the 80s is when that all took off. And that's also when a lot of these, because what people don't realize too is a lot of these original street gangs, especially in black communities, they were designed to be the anti-cop. We don't want cops in our communities, so we're going to police our own communities. But then you introduce drugs into these communities, what happens to those groups? They care less about the community. Now they're selling smack and crack to the same communities that they used to pretend to give a shit about. That it destroyed everything. And it's also just so we can say, hey, we hold political hegemony over other countries. We can influence who your leader is. Because some of these people in other countries, if the U.S. has a big footprint in your country, you don't elect your leaders. I don't care if you go to a fucking election, you cast a vote. If we're there in a heavy presence, that's our country. We elect your leaders. We don't care who they are. Was it an African country, Liberia? America's only foray into colonization, I guess, in Africa. But they had a big civil war, which kind of still going on. But it reached peak 10, 20 years ago. And the guy that removed the dictator at the time, you know where he went to college? UNC Chapel Hill. He went to UNC with Tar Heel.
Wow.
Tar Heel. Yeah. So the guy that we used to replace a local dictator. He might be an African immigrant. He might look the look, walk the walk, talk the talk. He went to UNC Chapel Hill. He's a fucking American.
That's absurd.
But he's out there. I'm going to lead people to Liberia for a greater future. No, you're not, man. You got a Chapel Hill degree. Shut up.
You know what I wonder often is in these other countries, especially over the past year and stuff like that, so we see news in our country, but we're also, pretty open, right? We could watch YouTube and we could get
well, for now.
That's a different discussion we could have. But, we can see things like that, like independent media and people like that are gathering facts, talking about it, just having conversations like this. But then you see the mainstream media, which is a bunch of bullshit, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
But then you think about it and you're like, okay, well, all of that though is American journalism in a sense, right? Whether you want to say it's journalism or not, it's American media. But then you have things like, Australian and other these countries. I've heard some very interesting stories about the way that they report on America per se. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like by country by country, you're almost locked into a little bit of a bubble. You
are for sure. Especially if you're purposely limiting what you watch over ideological reasons.
Right.
I don't mind watching somebody who publicly disagree with me.
Right.
As long as they're not batshit insane.
Yeah.
Hey, here's my opinion. What do you think about it? I don't agree, but I like the fact that you took the time and shared your opinion with me.
Yeah.
I like that. But as far as foreign media, I think foreign media covers the United States better than the United States media does. I actually saw a report yesterday. I think it was a Japanese news network, and they were actually spitting truth about the kids in cages. They were 15,000 people, 15,000 kids came through, last month in March.
Right.
Where do you see that on American media? Nowhere. You don't see that anywhere. Not to say they aren't covering it, but they're covering it to an extent that they can look like they're talking about it, bringing it up, but at the same time cover for the government because they know it's a big issue. And I feel like a lot of these, because I told you before, these media companies are not journalists anymore. They're corporations.
Yeah.
To me, a real journalist, you're one of these bump and grind dudes. You got the Patreon. You're living out of your van. Yeah. You're willing to get whacked to report a story.
Yeah.
What do these so-called journalists do? They cry about Glenn Greenwald.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Glenn Greenwald hurt the sensibilities of a white girl. Oh my God, he's so horrible. Oh my God. How about the fact that Glenn Greenwald has to live with private security or else he would be killed by the Brazilian government?
Yeah.
That's a journalist. Like, if your journalism leads to death threats, like I don't care about edgy people online. I care about a government saying, hey, journalist, you snoop around too much, we're going to put a bullet in your head. Do that, and then you're a journalist. You know, go get the story. And they hate Michael Tracy, too. Like, Michael Tracy's like a roving journalist, lives out of his van and stuff. And, like, all last year during the riots and stuff, he was going to, like, areas that recently had riots, and he was talking to people. He wasn't even asking questions. Wasn't even asserting his own opinion in it. It's like, hey, what do you think about what happened? And then people would just give their answers. It wasn't his answers. It was just people on the ground in these areas. Right. And they're like, you're right. You're alt-right adjacent for this. What are you talking about? He's asking questions. He's interviewing people of color who lost small businesses and effectively everything because of these riots. And he's being harped at by white people because he dared cover it. It's like, shut up. Yeah. Like, that's what our media has become. Our media, you know what our media is? It's a bunch of privileged white kids that go to fucking Yale and they get internships. Because the last woman that Glenn Greenwald went after was this lady who didn't want people that were at the Capitol on the 6th to have due process and legal representation. She was like, I don't think these people should be able to crowdsource legal fees and stuff on, like, you know, Patreon and stuff. What? So they shouldn't have representation? You know, like, you don't want these people to have due. I don't care what somebody's been convicted of. They need due process. Yeah. You can be accused of, like, raping 12 kids. I still want you to get a fair trial because that means I'm going to get a fair trial. Yeah. People don't understand that. Like, these people are very vindictive. Yeah. You know, and who can take an internship at New York Times unpaid? A full-time internship, rich girls. I can't do one. If I'm doing something full-time, better come with a paycheck. Yeah. Like, people with trust funds can do internships. I can't.
Yeah. What do you think about the sentiment of COVID pre and post inauguration?
Well, I think the problem the government's going to run into is this. With more people being vaccinated, I got a vaccination through my friend because before he moved out, my old roommate, he worked at, like, he was like an in-house care person. So I got one through him, through his work. Yeah. But now that more people are getting vaccinated, less people are going to give less of a shit about lockdowns. Because I don't care about politics. You can't hoist people up in their fucking houses for 2-3 years. It's a virus. It has to run its course. Now, does that mean I'm not going to promote unsafe practices? No. If you need to wear a mask, wear a mask. All that shit. But you can't keep people locked up. Yeah. And going back to what I was talking before, with low-status people, they're getting angry as shit. Like, all these people partying. Like, yeah, if you want to stay in your fucking house and masturbate all day because you're afraid of getting COVID, stay in your house and masturbate all day. I'll wear my mask and go live socially as best I can under the current environment. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be safe. Doesn't mean I'm not going to leave my house without a mask to put on. But I'm not going to lock myself up in my house and go anxious for your pleasure. I'm not doing it. And that's the problem that people are going to run into with these vaccinations. 'Cause I know a lot of people, even people that voted for Biden, they're like, I got vaccinated now. Like, I'm going to go out. Like, yeah, like, okay, forget about, like, politics. Like, you're a human being. You want to go out. You need to socialize. Like, you know, my niece, I'll put this out there for people, because I know there's a lot of people that are callous about this. My niece tried to kill herself twice last year. Yeah. Because she already has anxiety and, you know, she's in school, like 11, 12, and hardly any socialization last year with people that she knew from school. Yeah. What do you think that does? And these people are like, well, she needs to stay home. I'm like, fuck you, blocked. Yeah. Like, these people are callous. They're low status people who finally got power through the government, and they're trash.
Scary.
And I'll call them trash to their fucking faces. I have no problem doing that. Like, I have a niece who tried to kill herself twice because you wouldn't let her have a life because you think that gives you some sort of a power grab. No. No. Like, add that to the list of reasons why I'm an anarchist. Like, you put my niece in that kind of position. You did. You know, by supporting, like, you don't think people are responsible enough to go out there and be safe during COVID. I wear my mask everywhere. Everywhere. It's not hard. You know, but you don't need to go out there and tell me too. Like, I see people wearing masks in their backyards when they live alone. It's a cult. It's a cult at that point. Yeah. I'm just going to wake up one day and it's going to be like a burning cross in their yard. And they're going to be like, COVID. I'm like, come on, man. No, it's like, I feel like 90% of the topics we talked about today all stem from low status people that want authority over your life. Yeah. That's what it all is. Even this COVID shit. Look at the power trip they went on yesterday. They would curse you. They would fight you in the streets for not having a mask on. Yeah. Frail little white girl Walk up to you, put a mask on, put a mask on. Where'd she get that kind of empowerment from? Not from her female empowerment.
Yeah.
No, her government told her to do that.
Yeah.
Her government was like, you need to get in people's faces. You need to do all this. I'm like, look, I will get into people's faces after a politician tells me to if that politician gets in people's faces too.
Yeah.
Like, you need to go out there and confront these people. How about you do it? Like, what, you want people fighting? Like, brother, it's like one of these white girls, she gonna get punched, bro. I'm just kind of like, I don't want to see women get hurt. I don't. White women, stop. Like, you can keep social distance and be like, sir, can you put your mask on? You don't got to assault people. Because somebody's going to throw a punch back. And I don't want that to happen. Not over this stupid shit. Because everything that everybody's fighting over right now is all government bullshit. Mm-hmm. It's all government bullshit. Like, you're fighting over COVID. Now I heard, like, Major League Baseball, they canceled the All-Star game in Georgia over some legislation. It's like, I don't care. Like, I don't live in Georgia, so I don't really have an opinion on it. Mm-hmm. And, people in Georgia, they can do what they want with it. I'll leave that to them. That's their state. Mm-hmm. But, we're being told that we're fascist by people that have no problem using corporate hegemony in politics. Yeah. You know what they call that? Fascism. That's fascism. Like, you will never, like, I'm a huge capitalist. If capitalist was a woman, I'd fuck it and have kids with it. I love making money. I love producing. Mm-hmm. I love being able to barter with people that produce like me. And not only that, capitalism is not antithetical to self-improvement. Mm-hmm. Being capitalist doesn't mean I have to rob Peter to pay Paul. Doesn't mean I have to mistreat my employees. I want to pay my employees 10 times more than they'll make on minimum wage. Mm-hmm. They just got to bring skills. Mm-hmm. But these fucking people. Kind of lost my train of thought there, but so I get passionate about this shit. It's just
it's all good. Yeah, it's a crazy time. I mean, again with a lot of the stuff, I mean the divisiveness is just scary. Like and the way that it's like churned up from like the top down type thing, and then everybody's fighting each other.
That's what we were talking about. So I'm in love with capitalism and making money and empowerment. I am not in love with using a corporation stature to politically take down your political opponents. That's fascism. I'm sorry. You can cut it any way you want to.
What's the actual definition of fascism? I don't think anybody knows actually what the definition is.
Nobody. Mussolini knows. He came up with this shit. That's the funny thing. They want to call people fascists and compare them to Hitler. Like, Mussolini started the movement. That was his whole thing. Yeah. But it's loosely defined as, like, basically corporatism. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, you can have, like, a very strong relationship with corporations and the government and influence and stuff like that. Like, you saw that in Nazi Germany, too. Like, the Nazis were typically like, oh, you want to still be a millionaire in Nazi Germany? Your factory has to produce this. Because remember, what was it? Schindler's List. Mm-hmm. Oskar Schindler. He was a member of the Nazi Party. And because he was a member of the Nazi Party, he had, wealth and station that came with that. He was like, well, I have to produce something for the war effort. Right. And my war effort is ceramics. And then later on, because he was obviously helping Jews secretly on the side, it was like, I'm going to make munitions, but they're not going to work. But if you were a capitalist in fascist Germany under the Nazis, you had to produce goods and services for the fascist system. So it's something. It's basically a strong bond relationship between corporations and government. But I think what we're going more towards is kind of like fascism, but I think it's worse. I think it's true oligarchy. Because like we always talk about oligarchs in other countries. Why we ever talk about oligarchs? The two wealthiest people on planet Earth are Americans. But we want to talk about Putin. Okay, yeah, he's wealthy. He's an oligarch. He runs his country like an oligarch. We're getting there too. Mm-hmm. Because Putin is one of the wealthiest guys on planet Earth because of the fact that he and his government, they own equity in every company that comes through Russia. Mm-hmm. If you are a billionaire in Russia, you best believe that Putin has equity in your company via the Russian government. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we're headed. That's absolutely where we're headed.
Kind of starts to look like it with the way that almost like the I don't know if it's actually like valid to say this, but almost like the perceived collusion between some of these big tech and
here's the
government.
Thing. The top 7 donors to our federal government are either social media companies or weapons contractors. Mm-hmm. So people that want to silence your speech, people that want to silence the news and information that you get, and people that want to sell weapons to foreign countries, maybe even terrorist groups, because we were arming both sides all up during like that whole ISIS thing. Like CIA was arming ISIS, NSA was arming al-Nusra, then they were fighting each other with American weapons. Like, it's that shit. Like, those are the top 7 companies that donate are social media or weapons contractors. That's our government. Right there. I don't need a deep state. Where's the money come from? Show me the money. Remember Cuba Gooding Jr. in that one movie? Show me the money. Show me the money. Like, that's what it is. Follow the money trail. Who's our government most influenced by? Social media and weapons manufacturers. We're already there. Like, my freedom is fake.
Let's talk about money for a little bit there. So I think we touched on finance a little bit last time, and obviously like with the stimulus and all that sort of stuff, and how basically we're just printing the money printer right now.
Oh, we're broke. We're broke.
And the debt's going up. We could talk a little bit about that, but I want to bring a different topic to you just to see if you're interested, if you have any involvement in this. Are you interested, or have you like, is cryptocurrency and decentralized finance on your radar at all, given the status?
I mean, here's my thing. I support it. I'm not actively engaging in it right now, just because I want to see how the kinks are worked out. I want to see a more stable cryptocurrency, you know. But I do like other currencies. Fuck the U.S. dollar. It's worth shit.
Right.
I'll wipe my ass with it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, our government is $3 trillion in debt. I'm not in debt that much. My government is. Where's my government going to go? And it's like, I think Michael Malice even brought this up last night. The reason I'm not like some violent terrorist lashing out with some populist groups and shit, doing like Michigan militia, I really feel like our government's just going to go, this is like the Soviet Union. Soviet Union just ran out of money one day and was like, yep. We're done. We're done here.
It was a good ride.
Yeah, don't mind those stockpiles of AKs and like tanks. And no, I really think our government's just gonna dissolve and no one's gonna give a shit about it. I don't give a shit about my government. Like, I don't care about Joe Biden. I don't care. I feel like for me as an independent person, I'm completely independent in my own mind. Like, I might. Here's the thing, because we've talked about a lot of issues today, but notice I very rarely bring up people's names. I talk about the issue. I don't care about the politics of it because politics is bullshit. What's the issue? How do we fix it? If there is a way to fix it. And what's causing the issue most times, it's government causing the issue. So it's like, I've divorced myself from all that. Like, people are like, well, what are we going to do about this? I don't fucking know. I don't care. I can focus on me. I can focus on me buying 40 acres in Montana for 60 grand, which is a fucking deal. And what can I do with 40 acres? Oh, I can start a community. Fantastic. Oh, you want to live here? I'll give you a quarter acre plot. 15 grand. Cool. So I can literally start a community with 40 acres. That not only has housing, it has stores, all that shit. And then I can live in a castle on top of the hill.
There you go.
Have my own duchy. No, I wouldn't do it to people. I'm not like that. But I'm saying, like, that's what I want to do. I am so divorced from what's going on right now. Like, I only really know what's going on just because, like, I do read Twitter and stuff like that as, like, a news aggregate or, like, Reddit just to know what's going on. But I don't waste my time and energy on Twitter anymore like that. It's like, because one guy I used to follow, he's like, who are you wasting energy today on arguing over nothing? That's Twitter. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I've deleted Twitter. I don't care. I have Instagram and Facebook. Those are like, I'm like a boomer of millennials at 35. I'm like the millennial boomer. Like, if it's not Instagram or Facebook, I don't give a shit about it. Even those two, like, I barely use anymore. Like I told you before, like I deleted like 100 people off my Facebook. I'm like, I don't care about your existence. Like, I don't hate you. It's just we can't coexist in the same space anymore. I'm sorry.
This is I kind of a hard question to answer, but like, I don't necessarily disagree with you because I kind of, again, I see a lot of the points and everything, like, you know, the issues that we talked about and everything. But that theory, I haven't really heard that like specifically laid out like that. But again, it makes sense, like where the government just kind of goes like, we're kind of broke, and just kind of starts to disintegrate.
What's the like? Here's the thing. You know, you look at all these school districts that have been open like 2 years. At some point, these parents are going to be like, we're not paying fucking real estate taxes. What are you going to do? Because I think a lot of people brought this up. A lot of people want to do that, but they wait for that first person to make the first move. And once that first person with enough balls to go out there and be like, I'm not paying real estate taxes, then you'll get like the whole community. That's what you got to do. Like, I don't want to pay taxes so that it can go to, you know, the people that sit on the school board to teach my kids critical race theory. No. You know, because I'm more than likely after shitting on white women all night, I'm probably going to have biracial kids. You know? So, like, I don't want my biracial kids, if I have them, to be learning, oh, you're less than because, you know, you're this and critical race theory, like, which is mostly taught by white women. And it's like, no, like, I don't want any of that shit. I don't want any of that. I want nothing to do with it. I don't want my community to deal with it. Like, no, we're just going to dip out and
Yeah. What do you think, like, let's assume that is kind of, let's assume that we're on that track. How long do you think it actually takes to get there?
15, 20 years.
Really?
We're broke, brother. $3.4 trillion. We broke. We are more broke than any. Bro, there are countries I never heard of that don't even have the fucking debt we do. They're like, like, we broke as shit, but at least we ain't fucking America with that debt, son. Like, I eat rats for dinner, but I ain't America with $3 trillion debt. Good for you, man. Like, I'd rather be in a shithole country right now, smoking weed, not giving a shit. Yeah. Seriously. Just because, like, our nation is going to be fucked. And it's like, Rob and I were talking too. You think about all these people that have been really freaking uppity, especially like white suburbanites for like the last 5-6 years, women attacking children for wearing MAGA hats and shit. Where are they going to be when there's no system to protect them? You going to get hired? I saw a video of you beating up a child over clothes. You want a job? Nope, not with me.
Yeah.
Like, do these people forget too? We have elections. So, you want to start a domestic war on terror? What guarantee do you have there won't be a Republican president in office in 2024? What makes you think they wouldn't start a domestic war on terror on your suburban ass? Oh, I don't think about it. Of course you did it. Of course you did it. These people.
It's wild. Yeah. That's an interesting thing, though. So we're in, like, 2021. So, like, 2040.
I would say before 2050, the United States would not exist as it currently does. It can't. It can't.
Yeah.
It can't. Maybe we still have a national government, but we go back to more like state shit. That way it's smaller. Because ideally, that's where we should be.
Yeah.
If you want to live in a more liberal state, go live in a more liberal state. You want to live in a more conservative one, go live in a more conservative one. The only reason we have a national government anyway is just for national defense. Right. That way we don't have 50 different states trying to come up with soldiers and do trade deals. Yeah. We can all do that together with the federal government. But now the federal government's so bloated, we have no national identity anymore. Yeah. We have no state identity. You know, people just like, why? No. Yeah. Just like, I want the America where, like, shit, I want the America, like, pre-government.
The colonies.
Like, colonies, baby. Fuck the king. Fuck the president. ANCAP heaven, baby. You got cannons on your ship. People like, well, why do you need guns these days? Motherfucker, when they were trading during those days, they had cannons on their ships. Yeah. Because pirates would raid them. Because that's how you moved goods. What do you think pirates do? They rob shit from ships. Because that's how you move shit. Why do you think these bad boys had cannons on there? Where do you think the Marine Corps came from? Yeah. Oh, we need to protect our trade ships. Oh, hey, shit. Call Marines. Woo! But I can't own a gun. Sure. And, like, my favorite thing about the gun argument, too, not to get off on that. Yeah. Like, you have these veterans that come out. And I'm a veteran. I respect my fellow veterans. I used weapons of war in Iraq. You're like, you shouldn't use them overseas. Oh, so you shoved your weapon in the face of an Iraqi woman. That makes you big man. And that means I can't own one of those same type of weapons to defend my house. Yeah, good shit. I really do feel like we somewhat live in, like, Starship Troopers. I really do. I even brought Starship Troopers up last time I was here. Because we really do. Okay, because, like, I'm not making fun of these people. Like, they made sacrifices, this, that, whatever. Like, whatever kind of prestige you want to bestow on public servants today. Yeah. But it's like, when I see people like Tammy Duckworth, who had no legs, I see Dan Crenshaw, no eyeball. Yeah. And it's like, these people lost body parts in war. And they're on television like, war is great. Yeah. It reminds me of Starship Troopers. Yeah. Because, like, remember, I don't know if you've seen the movie. But, like, in the beginning of the movie, before Johnny Rico, the main character, that suave, privileged white boy from Buenos Aires, the white guy from Buenos Aires, right? Before he goes into basically conscription service, because in order to be a citizen in the Starship Troopers universe, you have to serve conscription somewhere, like in the military. Otherwise, you're just a civilian and you can't vote. Yeah. So he's going to go mobile infantry, being a big bad alpha male. Mobile infantry, grunts of the grunts of the world, right? And they're fighting like alien, species over there. Yeah. But every person he meets along the way before he signs up, missing an arm, missing a leg, their face is all fucked up and shit. Was like, because like his teacher, the woman that plays his teacher early on at the high school, like the science teacher, she's actually one of the women from Golden Girls TV show. But her whole face is like scarred up. She only sees because she has like these new eyes and shit. So all these people are like, oh, mobile infantry. Like the guy at the recruitment station when he signs up and swears in, he's got no legs and like one arm. Yeah. And he's like, mobile infantry made me the man I am today. What, crippled?
jeez.
And like, I kind of feel like that's what we're living in now. Like, you have these crippled ass people, physically and mentally. War's great. Yeah, it worked out for you real well. You can't walk.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It's like, this dude has to wear an eye patch. Like, good Lord. Like, how many people didn't come back at all?
Yeah.
But war's great, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we do it to defend our free. Like, from what? And that's why I always say that. That's why I always go back to the movie, because not only is it the film itself is a great satire of like fascism, or fascism type governments, but like the alien species in the movie, we don't even know if they're threatening. Like, yeah, they kill humans, but are they killing humans because we showed up, or because they attacked us?
Yeah.
But then they say like, over the human colonies. Oh, that explains it. Oh, we showed up on some planet they were already at. And like, hey man, we need to colonize Planet P. Get out there, baby. Get out there and fight them bugs. Them bugs are dangerous.
Shit.
Well, the biggest piece of propaganda that they use in the movie is that the arachnids, which are the alien species, they have a never-ending supply of asteroids to attack Earth with, even though they live on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
Right. Right. You sure that the human government's not fetching them from the Kuiper Belt that surrounds our solar system? Like, oh, the aliens did that. Yeah, sign up today. Defend your freedoms. Become a citizen. Yeah. Woo.
Sounds like when we took over the Native Americans.
It sounds like every time we took over everything. Everything. It's like, we need to find WMDs in Iraq. All right, where they at? 20 years later, where they at? Like, I want to see like a big crate. I want to see, these are the WMDs we've been looking for. Use some Jedi mind trick on me or something. We've been here, tens of thousands of deaths, mutilations, PTSDs, 22 vet suicides a day. Where the WMDs at, huh? At least give me something. Hey, look, at least when guys like Julius Caesar, who we mentioned before, Octavian, his successor, Alexander the Great, at least when they were asking guys to go to fight for them, they gave him shit back. oh, you want some whores? Here's some women. You want this? They gave something back. What am I getting back out of this? I'm not even getting the oil. I'm paying $4 a gallon. Yeah. At least give me the oil. Like Trump said, like, hey man, if we're gonna be there, like, at least take the shit. Like, we're not even taking it. Like, it's for my freedom. It's for this, but I'm losing freedoms, and I don't get no access to resources. So what is this all for?
Yeah. It's
all mentally. It's insane, man.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, we're still in Somalia. People watch like Black Hawk Down. Oh, we got out back, and I'm like, no, we there. We there. Like, I don't know what for. I don't know what the hell's in Somalia. Like, Somalia has been in a state of anarchy for like 40 years. Yeah. And like most of the government that's controlled there is controlled by Al-Shabaab, which is a terrorist organization. Or at least what our CIA labels one. Yeah. And I have no clue why we're there. Yeah. I have no clue. I'm like, I couldn't tell you. We have troops in Niger that get ambushed, and I'm like, I don't know why those guys are there. Why do we have troops in Niger? Yeah. Half the people that confuse Niger for Nigeria. I mean, they're similar and they're right next door to each other. Yeah. But it's like, why do we have these troops in these places? Yeah. Like, oh, well, we got to stop. Well, like, there were probably more children. Like, we got to stop human trafficking. There are more people being trafficked through the Vatican than Niger. Like, what are we doing? Yeah.
Fucking crazy, man.
For our freedoms, baby. For the freedoms.
For the freedoms.
For the freedoms.
For the freedoms. That's
Join
for sure.
today. Citizenship guaranteed. Would you like to know more?
That's it. Yeah, man. So we've talked about a lot of shit here, a lot of different stuff.
There's always a lot of shit to talk about.
The
world is moving a mile a minute, mile a millisecond.
That's it.
You can't keep up with it. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about before. Worry about shit you can actually have an effect over. Yeah. Because the world is moving a mile a millisecond. Fuck a mile a minute. It's gone. The world is moving faster than you can feasibly comprehend as a human being. Yeah. And I don't just mean that like at a political, social level, scientific level too. Yeah. I meant like our sun explodes like neutrons and neurons and all this fusion together, and it can do huge explosions faster than you can even see with the human eye. It's like bam. And you're like, what the fuck? That's politics to you. Yeah. It's because you can't keep up. Yep. And the media is just trying to drown you with all this stuff. Yeah. Like, you can feel a certain way about this issue, that issue, but do what you can to affect the community closest to you, because that's where you live. You can help your neighbors. If your neighbors have a tough time with your local government, stand up for your neighbor if you think he's in the right. If she's in the right. That's what you need to do. Yeah. Get involved locally. Fuck all that national shit. Federal government don't care about you. They give you $1,400 for your pittance. Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, great.
Yeah, keep it local, for sure.
Just always keep it local.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, we got to bring it back around to Stonebridge.
We do.
Because we talked about a lot of different stuff, but it's all affecting it in one way or another.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the reason, like, yeah, I disengage a lot with politics, but the reason I still engage with the issues that I do is because it is going to affect security.
Yeah.
And security's booming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I even had a friend of mine who knows nothing about security.
Yeah.
He listened to a podcast. He was like, sounds like you got into the right industry, because I was listening to this podcast and like, this shit's booming. I'm like, yeah, dude, like, it's booming. Like, you want to fund police, you want to do this, you got civil strife. I'll be there for the right price. But the biggest thing I was talking about before is this, about Stonebridge. Training.
Absolutely.
Training is everything. I am a veteran. This is a veteran-owned business. I know this job is dangerous enough as is. I'm not going to throw dudes out there without the proper training, proper know-how to do what they need to do. You can pay guys $15 an hour that barely got licenses, barely old enough to own guns. They're not taking a bullet for you or your business or your children if they're doing VIP security for $15 an hour. I'll do it for $5, maybe $600 an hour.
Yeah.
I ain't doing it for $15.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, you're getting these young dudes. Let me swing it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get ahead of myself. The thing that separates my business, Stonebridge Security Consultants, when it comes to on-the-ground security and private contractors is this. It's not this training. It's the fact that I am involved in every aspect of this in some way. Now, am I a micromanager? No. I have a training coordinator. I have a right-hand man. I work with my team. Mm-hmm. But I, as the owner, emphasize these things always. Training, and what else was there? It was the fact that I am actually involved in this stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of these private security companies, they're just venture capitalists with an LLC, and they have a friend that, hey, I need a security guy at my front door. Oh, let me go get that 21-year-old dude, barely has a license. Here you go, guy, $14 an hour. That 21-year-old's like, oh, my God, $14 an hour, great, awesome, yeah. I'm like, I wouldn't do that shit for less than 60.
Yeah.
Like, no, like that kid, like, you're just filling a contract at that point. Mm-hmm. People need to realize security, like what I do, is an investment. Mm-hmm. It's an investment in you and your other assets. Mm-hmm. Like, you're gonna pay me to drive your kids around town as a rich person for $15 an hour. I'll kidnap that kid my damn self. Sell him back to you for ransom. Shit. You give me access to your kid for $20 an hour. Come on. But that's the biggest difference between my company and other companies. I'm going to have the infrastructure. These companies that just throw bodies on contract, they don't have infrastructure. Mm-hmm. It literally is just the VC filling bodies. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have a training infrastructure. I'm going to help people get licenses. I'm going to help people, better yet, outside of business, self-improve. Because I was talking to my training coordinator, Alex. We are big in mental health, getting people with the right mindset, and not just, expecting them to come like that. Like, I don't want somebody that's so, I'm not a psychologist. Yeah. But one thing we were going to teach in this company is we want you to self-improve through the work you do here. Mm-hmm. We don't just want you to rest on your laurels. If you leave my company after 2 years, do your own thing, good. I want you to leave my company a better person.
I love that.
That's what it's all about. And that's why my company is going to be small. Mm-hmm. I can't help everybody. Mm-hmm. But, I can pay above average wages for the work. I can make sure that people leave my company with the right mentality going. Because theoretically, if they're leaving my company after using my company as a springboard, I'm the one almost de facto responsible for almost like a college, putting them out there in the workplace after they leave me. Yeah. So I want to make sure these people can succeed. If they succeed with me, good. If they succeed elsewhere, even better.
I think there's a Richard Branson quote or something like that where you treat your employees like so well that they don't want to leave or something like that.
Well, here's the worst quote in business is this: the customer's always right. Yeah. No, the customer's fucking stupid. No, I'm not disrespecting customers. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that if you have that mindset as a business owner, you never stick your neck out for your employee. Yeah, even though they're the ones doing the labor for you, so you can earn a profit. Mm-hmm. Now, if your employee's in the wrong, they're in the wrong. But never walk out there and just assume that your employee fucked up. Yeah. Because if they fucked up, that's your fault. Mm-hmm. Because you're their boss. Definitely. You own the business. Their character is a reflection on who you hire. Mm-hmm. Which is why I'm not going to hire just anybody for this business. I could hire those 22-year-old kids, give them licenses, give them guns, but those guys want to be John Wick until you got to do John Wick shit. Yeah. I'm going to give you John Wick, but at John Wick prices. Like, if you want John Wick, you $1,200 a day. Yeah. But hey, we'll do it. Like I say, it's an investment. Yep. Don't think of it as paying me, because you're still not going to pay me as much as you're going to pay a private military corporation out there. Mm-hmm. But if you want guys that are trained EMRs, like first responders, you want guys, because we're going to have guys with our training schedule, you better be at the range at least once a week. Mm-hmm. You're not just going to sit your ass think, oh, I'm a good shot. No. Mm-hmm. Show yourself you're a good shot. Don't show me, show yourself. Mm-hmm. Because if you show yourself, you come to me, hey, I got skills, I'll pay you. I don't mind paying dudes $200 an hour for a right job. No problem at all.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been flat out stern with not security companies, but property management companies. Because I told you before we started recording.
Yeah.
You know, I know a woman that owns a property management company that's sizable.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to her, and she gets it. She's on the same page as me.
Yeah.
Because she deals with that shit. And she's a tough woman too. Like before she got into this, she was like touring with like punk rock bands, so she can hold her own up against a guy any day of the week, especially in the business world.
Yeah.
But as a woman, if she tries to go break up a party full of dudes, they're like, yeah, whatever, girl. But she knows that.
Right.
So she's like, hey, I need like beefy, buffy dudes and like flak vests and shit showing up. Hey man, tell me feet.
Yeah.
Because she knows it's gonna work wonders for de-escalation.
Yeah.
Well, she was telling me a funny story too. I guess like she walked in on like some like blood ritual from like
What
there was like a bunch of like no listen. She goes in because she deals mostly in short-term rentals.
Yeah.
So there was this I don't know where I think it was here in Pittsburgh. She didn't specify. But I hope to God it was not here in Pittsburgh because we got like a white female blood code out there.
Oh my God.
She walks in there and there's like 12 white girls. And, like, they all have, like, cut marks on them. I don't know if they're, like, cut marks from, like, depression. But they're cut. Like, she sees blood. And, like, she sees, like, it looks like meat in the middle of the table. like cow meat or, like a sheep's head. And I'm like, girl, you're about to be the next sacrifice up there. Like, America's Next Top Sacrifice.
Oh, my God.
And she was like, Ben, this is why I'm on the same page as you. I am more concerned with these white girls than I am this party, but we got to, like, because, like, they don't have parties just because of COVID. It's some people's property. You can't have parties, period. COVID or no COVID.
Yeah.
But she's like, I walked in on a fucking seance, and these girls like, you want tea? I'm like, is that blood tea? I'm like, so she gets it. The thing is, she works for a lot of wealthy people as a property manager that own these properties that she's managing. Right. They don't live in the United States, a lot of them do. Some of them are from here, but they live in, like, Bahamas. Yeah. Or, like, if they live in the States, it's like Hawaii. Yeah. Like, they don't get, like, the on-the-ground shit. She's like, no, I've had a gun pulled out on me.
Oh, my gosh.
I've had the cleaning ladies that work for me threatened. Oh. You know, I've walked in on the blood seance. I can't break up parties because no one takes me seriously as a woman. I'm like, hey, I get it. But she's like, these people do not want to pay for security. Yeah. And I told her, like, they don't want to pay for security. They're going to be up Shit's Creek without a paddle eventually because something's going to happen. Yeah. You know, you're gonna have you know, an issue at one of these properties. Cops aren't going to show up. I'm not going to show up. You know, because I'm not going to be on call. Yeah. And where are you going to be? Yeah. These people think their money can save them. No. Your money may be able to buy you out of certain situations, but there's other situations. Like, if you see people getting canceled, I've seen billionaires get canceled these days. Yeah. I think I was talking before, like we started recording. It's like one of the things I'm trying to stress to her and the people that she works for is this. I want Stonebridge to be like mediators or people that like bridge the gap between like the public and cops. Mm-hmm. You know, because my whole thing about becoming like EMR, first responder, not like less than lethal type of stuff. I am going to be preaching since day one about de-escalation. We are not an escalation force. Mm-hmm. I am not in there for flagging country. I'm not in there storming the beachhead. If we go to a property, it's most likely going to be because we're going to break up a party or there's like a minor domestic dispute. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't need to shoot people because of that. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And like I was saying, it's like, what happens if a cop that you don't know, you know me. Mm-hmm. Because if this girl hires me to manage her properties, security-wise, she knows me. Mm-hmm. She knows the kind of guys that I'm going to bring in. She don't know the cops. Mm-hmm. So what if those cops come up and they shoot somebody at that party? Now you're enthralled in all this political bullshit. Mm-hmm. You're going to get canceled. You're going to lose your business, all that. I go up there with my guys, nothing happens. Mm-hmm. We go up there. We talk to some people. Like I said, if a cop gets called, the reason that they're trigger happy sometimes, I'm not putting this entirely on them, is because they are literally doing like the phone game. Mm-hmm. So you call into a dispatcher, tell dispatcher something. Dispatcher has to fucking, you know what I mean? So by the time the cop gets there, they've heard like a million different variants. Oh, active shooter, this and that. So like, is it any wonder cops show up like to like a minor situation? Like, oh shit, shut up. Of course not. Yeah. But for me, if I'm on these contracts myself with my guys, she calls me directly. Hey, here's what's going on. Cool. Mm. I don't have to play the telephone game. Right. You know, I get directly from the source of information. Yeah. That, hey, this is what's going on. I can go out there and be like, hey, guys, you know, like, you know, let's break this party up. You know, everybody go home tonight. Yeah. You know, people don't want to fight. Yeah. I think people get aggressive with the cops, too, because cops are aggressive. Yeah. And, like, you know, granted, I'm going to be stern if I have to show back up power. I'm not going to let people walk over me. Mm-hmm. I got to be like, hey, man, you got to go, you know. But I'm not going to be like, yo. Like, the government says you, like, I'm not the government.
Yeah.
But hey, the owner of the property said you got to leave, bro. Homeboy, got to leave. That's it. You know, like, and even if we start to, like, I guess, de facto, like, police certain neighborhoods, you know, it's always de-escalation. I don't want my operators fighting people.
Yeah.
I don't want them fighting people. You know, if people see my operators, I want them to think, oh, hey, that's a level-headed guy. You know, he's only going to come around if he needs to be around.
Definitely.
And that. And like what I said about the cops, I only want cops to be around. They need to be around. And that's the same thing that I'm going to hold true in Stonebridge. We are not going to be there unless we need to be there. We're not there to harass civilians. We're not there to arrest people. At best, maybe we can apprehend somebody to, like, assist law enforcement if need be. But that's it. Like, I don't want to get this image of Stonebridge that, like, we harass civilians. No. Because once I posted, like, the reason I had to make a video, I think you saw on my Facebook.
Yeah, I did.
Because I've started promoting my business here and there. 2 questions I get asked a lot when I talk about my business, especially on Facebook and Instagram. Are you a mall security guard or, like, a mercenary? And, like, I'm neither. I defend, listen, my guys and we defend properties that are a lot more valuable than your local mall, but I do not take money to kill innocent people, and I never will.
Yeah.
You know, I have ethics in this business. That's why I'm a private security contractor, not a private military contractor.
Yeah.
I don't want to take a single dime in my life to take innocent life. I am here to defend innocent life and defend assets of people that pay me.
There you go.
That's what I'm here to do. And that's what I'm always here to do.
There we go.
You know, so because, like, you know, there are a lot of people in this world, they need defended, they can't defend themselves. So that's what I'm here for. And it's one of those jobs that, like, it's unfortunate that it has to exist, but if somebody has to answer that call, I'll pick that phone call up any day.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, man. It's admirable. I'm happy to hear that the business is going well, growing, getting everything going.
It is. I mean, I'm so excited about the training schedule. Alex has been a blessing. Like, the fact that I'm going into this new with help is awesome. You know, I'm not going it blindsided. I got Alex and Alan here on the ground in Pittsburgh. I got my boys Brian and PR in Tennessee and Louisiana, respectively. So those 2 guys, they've been working in security for 15 plus years. So just getting their knowledge of wealth about the industry, especially from, like, a freelancer perspective like those guys are. You know, and like Brian said, he held my license. I've never met him face to face. I've talked to him. I've done FaceTime. Never met him face to face. He was like, you know what? You got a good head on your shoulders. You got a good game plan. I'll hold a license for you.
It's awesome.
Like, you know how hard it is to find somebody that's like, hey, man, I'll hold a state level license for you in Tennessee. I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, dude, anything you need, like, I'll give you a hand job, bro. You want a handy? He's like, nah, fam. He's like, he told me, like, you seem like, he's like, look, you're a good guy. You got a good head. And, you know, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to help you be a part of this. I'm like, brother, I appreciate it. And then, like, my other 2 guys here in Pittsburgh, like, Alex has done the whole training schedule. He's done a wonderful job with that. Alan's more my right-hand man, so, like, he's helping me with my work so that I don't have to do it on my own. So, like, just having that kind of structure already has been amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and, like, we have a whole training schedule set up for the rest of the year. We're working on, like, a basic training program for new hires. Which if I make, like, a 3rd appearance on your podcast, I can talk about that.
Recurring, yep.
But yeah, so, like, that's what we've been basically working on, just setting that infrastructure that I just talked about, like the training infrastructure is really, because I'm not really going to draw a profit from this business, or at least the business isn't for, like, the first year or 2. I'm just going to work as a freelance contractor and pump personal funds into the business, and then use that to build the infrastructure that I want by year 3. Because I do want to get a loan for range, because I want to buy land to build a range on that we can hold our own training at and stuff like that. But right now, first, second year, get myself trained up, get myself licenses where I need to, and basically using my own experiences going through training to build my own training infrastructure with my company. Because I tell these guys, hey, when we're doing this, I don't just want to train ourselves. This is the groundwork for how we're going to train people that come behind us. So while you're in these roles, whether it be, you know, as a training instructor or like Alan and I as team leaders, once we start going out on contracts, you really need to delve into these roles and flesh them out the way you want them to be. That way when you, I guess, get promoted within your company because of the fact that you're expanding, you feel more comfortable leaving a manager in that place because you know you've been through the training yourself, so you know how he's been trained up. Because you've done it. Yeah. So that's what we're working on years 1 and 2 is the training infrastructure. Because I tell everybody, my training infrastructure is going to make me better than 99.9% of my competition right out the gate. Because I know guys aren't going to be out there training. I know they're not. My guys, we're going to be in the training. And that's why we're going to get big money contracts.
There we go.
Like we're doing vehicle training, we're doing EMR training, we're doing basic gun training, advanced gun training, any training that makes sense. for us to get, because there's stupid shit out there too.
Yeah.
But things that make sense for what we want to do as individuals and as companies, because I mean, a lot of what we're going to do is mobile security. So we need to take vehicle courses on like defensive driving, on how like, you know, getting out of a vehicle and setting up a perimeter. It's all going to be vehicle-based type shit for the most part. It's not going to be stationary, because you have stationary and mobile security. Stationary is where you just go to like a post and you just kind of sit there until you're relieved. Mobile, you can be in a vehicle. You can be in a vehicle convoy with multiple vehicles. So there's a whole wide variety of things. Like security covers a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So, and again, before I finish up here, it's an investment. And if you're a company that's thinking about, I'll kind of hawk my own shit here.
Fuck yeah.
If you're a company that's thinking about, you know, security, you know, hit us up. It's just because of the fact it is an investment. I don't care if it's your own child that you need to be driven to work, or school rather. I don't care if you have like a building. If you feel like you have something that's worth preserving in your life, that you feel needs that little bit of extra instant rapid response security, guys like me are available. We'll do the work. We'll do it well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not cheap. I'm not cheap.
Yeah.
But what you're hiring me to protect isn't cheap either.
Absolutely.
Because it's either going to be a human life, or it's going to be your house. It's going to be a business. So everything that you could potentially want to hire me and my guys for is valuable to you, more valuable than what you'll ever pay me. So
yeah, contact info and everything like that in the description. You still work on the website?
I am still working on the website.
Okay.
But I do have an email.
Yeah, I'll put that in there. Yeah.
So.
So we chatted about this a little off air, but you being the first recurring guest, we have a little bit of an issue because we have the
there's no issue. There's no issue. It's the abridged final three.
The abridged final three questions. Normally, the first question is your three biggest influences. You obviously answered those on the last one,
yes,
but we talked about it.
But I can add an additional name to that.
There you go.
His name is Robert Marshall. He's also known as Bay or Bay Cakes. He is a good friend of mine. He's a DC native. We met here in PA because we were in the same Army Reserve unit when I was in Army Reserves, because he was attending IUP. Yeah. So because he grew up in DC, he was like, girl, I got to get out of that shit. Yeah. So he got out of there. I was actually one of the first people he came out to as gay. He called me up. He was like, yo, I'm gay. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. You want to play video games, bro? Like, I don't care, bro. Yeah. And then, we were in reserves together, and that's when we kind of clicked. I hung out with him a few times at IUP. And then we both went active duty from the reserves. Yeah. He became an infantry officer, I believe, at Fort Hood, and did a couple deployments to Iraq. I went to Korea, and I stayed in NCO. I didn't want to join the officer corps. Yeah, no. I work for a living. Yeah. But no, after he got out of the military, he was struggling to find his way a little bit, and he became an alcoholic. And I think I mentioned before, like, that's when he turned to religion, found God, and, kind of helped himself there. And then he figured out how to make soap and grooming products. Yeah. And now he owns his own grooming business. Nice. That's what he just picked up a contract for several stores in Georgetown, which is a very bougie neighborhood in DC. A lot of high-end women shop there. Yeah. I think he just mentioned in messages that he picked up a contract with somebody else, so he's doing well. Good and he's getting on websites now too. Yep. One of the things I was like, he showed me. I guess he got a contract to. It's like a veteran-owned like grooming. It's kind of like Black Rifle Coffee Company. Like they sell all sorts of shit. Yeah. But like for their grooming product section, he makes like 2 of their main products.
There we go.
So like, and people don't even know he makes them. It's like they have somebody else's brand on. Yeah. So like he's a supplier, and that's like one of the reasons like he's an inspiration to me, because like not only did he get himself out of alcoholism and self-improvement with business, but it's the fact that he understands very well as somebody that supplies like something so small like soap. It's all about logistics. Definitely. All about logistics. And you saw that with COVID too. Like look at these big supply chains. They couldn't last. Who was keeping who fed last year? Small supply chains. Local supply chains. It wasn't fucking Jeff Bezos keeping myself fed. It was my neighbor. It was a small business the pizza shop down the street. Yeah. That's what he understands. And I think I told you last time too, we were coming up with the concept for that that city-based, local-based logistics business. I don't need to ship nationally. Let me take e-commerce and ship it to my neighbors more efficiently. Yeah. Like it's going to save me a lot more money than just instantly trying to ship overseas or across the coast. When like regardless if I have a storefront or this or whatever, my main customers are right around me. That's who I should be hawking shit to, and he does that all the time. Like he'll go to business fairs in DC. And like DC's a great city for that. Yeah, it's the nation's capital. So he goes like he was joking one time because I guess like the president of Indonesia came through.
What the hell?
Pretty high ranking. Like, well, Indonesia's a big country.
Yeah.
Like they're like what, right behind us in terms of population?
Yeah.
Like little under 300 million. And the president, like prime minister of Indonesia, was there, and like he bought some of his products and stuff. So he was all name dropping. He was like, "Oh my God, President!" I'm like, no, but he's been a good friend for at least 15, 16 years. He's one of my best friends. I talk to him at least every other day.
Yeah.
Like him and I can hop on the phone, just talk bullshit, end up talking 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just shit like that. About business, about current events, politics, all that kind of stuff. So he's been a really big inspiration on what I do and like the business that I'm getting to. Because he was like, one of the most important things he told me was like, see the art or business in yourself. Do not see yourself in the art or business. Like let yourself express yourself and work towards self-improvement. Don't just do something even if you own the business just to pay bills. Always make it a passion.
Yeah.
Always.
Definitely. Amen. 100%. Well, that's dope, man. We got the abridged influences there.
Yes.
And then we have normally the second question is your biggest life advice, or, just in
Well,
general.
my biggest life advice last time was to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And that still remains the same. But today I will add this. On top of always improving yourself, improve your community. If you see ways that you can actually interject yourself positively, like not like, but like positively and constructively influence your community, do so. And that begins with small business ownership. If you're a successful small business owner, you want to see more small businesses in your neighborhood. Now, some people are like, well, it's competition. Well, yeah, it is, but I'm not worried about competition because I'm taking care of my own shit. It's the fact that if you don't want your neighborhood to be gentrified by corporations, own your shit. Own your real estate. Own your commercial real estate. Own your houses. Own your land. Don't let corporations come out there and buy that shit for on the cheap and then turn that shit into condos.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, whether it be economically, mostly economically, because like I said, political power is bullshit. So communities have power when they own the land they live on. So promote, if you're a small business owner in one of these communities, always have the backs of your other small business owners.
Yep. Always.
Improve as an individual and then help your community improve along with you and see who goes along for the ride. Yep. Because I guarantee you a lot of people that you think would, especially if they heard a voice of reason talking about self-improvement and not about bloody politics for the 15th freaking, like politics don't pay my bills. Yep. What is going to pay that young man's bills when he's like 19, 20, that weird age where like, you're not a high schooler no more, but you're not like a wisdom seasoned adult either. Like you're still kind of a kid. It's like, what's going to give that guy more of a future? Him talking about politics online all day or him getting a freaking skill? Help him get a skill. Maybe he can work for you for a few years and then he starts his own business. There you go. Now you got a community. I'll leave it at that.
There you go. Terrific advice, man, though. I couldn't agree more. But, buddy, round 2 has been fucking fantastic. We got to make this a regular
thing. It's always fantastic. Like, listen, I gotta. You got the equipment and stuff. You look like you can get a little mobile. I got the outdoor range set up. You should do it. We should do like the 3rd episode from the outdoor range.
Yeah, when it's a little warmer out. Yeah,
a little warmer out. See me shooting a little bit. We can talk about that. Talk about more ANCAP shit. Yeah. Because like William Wallace says right before he dies in Braveheart, freedom. Everything revolves around human rights. Freedoms. I want to leave on this. Yeah. You do not get your human rights from government. Yep. Doesn't matter if it's I know people are like, what about the Constitution? I wipe my ass with the Constitution. You know why? It's a piece of paper. And if it's anything, it's a limit on my government on my rights. It tells my government my rights and what they can do. But nobody cares about it. I have rights because I wake up in the morning. I'm a human being and I breathe air. And if you're any other human being that does that, you have the same freaking human rights. You have all these people out here, I want $15, I want housing rights. Why are you begging your government to give you human rights? I have housing because I work my ass off and I put a roof over my head. That's all I want in life. Well, I tell you earlier, I want to smoke weed, go play the AKs, and fuck ladyboys. I don't give a shit about the rest. I'm not going to bother you in your life. Stop running to the government to take care of you. Self-improvement, like the freaking podcast says, fueled by progress. What are you fueled by? Government handouts. Fueled by progress. Go out there and kick ass at life. Again, live full, die empty. I'm done.
Mic drop right there. Check out Stonebridge.
Yes. If you're looking for career advancement opportunities and you don't want to make $15 an hour and you don't want to be a peasant for the rest of your life, eating crumbs, I do own a business, and he will drop my email below.
I love that. I love the passion, man. That's fucking fantastic. Able to just flip the switch.
What in life is there to be passionate about more than waking up and knowing you don't owe anybody a fucking thing?
100%, man. Nothing else.
I don't owe the government anything. I'm not gonna have the government open my door. None of that shit. Just let me wake up with a joint in my mouth and a chick next to me in the bed. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bother you. I'm not gonna infringe upon your rights. I just want to do me.
Yep.
That's all I want to do.
Yep. Not hurting anybody. There you go. There you go. Well, good shit, man. Again, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for coming back through. We'll have to do many more of these. Maybe at the range. Get a little mobile.
Yes. I would love to have the mobile setup at the range when the weather's nicer, so I can go on some more passionate rants.
There we go.
But hey, at least the rants are from passion and positivity and not from negativity.
Yes, sir.
It's always about passion and positivity.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
You gave me the big
the big ginger ale.
I felt that. I didn't even touch it. It was. Hey, I'll admit it was a little flat, but I still.
It was in the fridge, you know.
I still entertained it because you were nice enough to bring it out.
We'll have double the ginger ale next time.
Because people ask me like, "Do you drink beer?" And I'm like, "Only when given to me by like a Russian or something." I'm not gonna tell a Russian no to a beer. I can't do it.
I feel you. Well, this has been great, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. This has been another episode of Fueled by Progress with my guest, Benjamin Cartwright. Yes. Round 2.
Round 2. It's gonna be a trilogy.
Yeah.
Somebody call Dana White and get the contract. Trilogy. So I'll be back. I know I'm a little hyper. I know I'm a little passionate, but I think that kind of resonates with a lot of people because they want to see high energetic guys like
Absolutely.
Me. You gotta have high energy. Because you have a lot. I've watched some of the other podcasts. And like they're all great. Like I love hearing like you had a guy on like last week.
Yeah.
4-hour episode.
Yeah.
Great episode though.
Yeah.
Because he really broke it down.
Yeah.
But like that's not my style.
Yeah.
My style is like I'm in there, man.
I feel it, man.
I'm in there. You got to be in there. Like we're talking about freedom.
Love the
freedom.
passion. It's the passion, bro.
I know.
Need it. Good shit, man. Good shit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, another episode Fueled by Progress. Benjamin Cartwright. Thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. We'll talk to you in the next one.